Chapter 21. After Tang Jiu's arrival, one of the teachers shrank back into the crowd, not daring to raise his head. Tang Jiu didn't even glance at the person who had tipped him off. His focus was solely on Shen Wang, disregarding everyone else. Someone following Tang Jiu sternly said, "Shen Wang, you've learned some crooked skills from who knows where, causing chaos in C University. If you have any sense, you'll come with us willingly for investigation, or else." Shen Wang thought the man looked familiar and finally remembered, "You're the guy who was watching outside the antique shop the day Tang Jiu got swindled out of 50,000 by me, his little sidekick." This statement darkened the faces of both Tang Jiu and his sidekick. The sidekick, furious, declared, "I am Qian Liangjuan, a disciple of the Qingqing Mountain martial arts sect." He had thought the revelation of his background would terrify Shen Wang into begging for mercy. But Shen Wang just nodded, "Nice surname, but the name, not so much. If you changed it to Qian Duodua, it would be perfect." Qian Liangjuan's face turned beet red with anger, unable to speak. "Stop beating around the bush and changing the subject," Tang Jiu interrupted the fuming Qian Liangjuan, stepping forward slightly with a righteous air. "You've harmed so many students and teachers of the entire school. Your crime is unforgivable. Come back with us to the association for processing." "Tang Senior, this matter started because of me, it's not Brother Shen's fault." Jianiqiu tried to explain, but stopped abruptly upon meeting Tang Jiu's gaze. Shen Wang quickly pulled Jianiqiu behind him. "What are you staring at? Haven't you seen a beautiful woman before?" In the original text, Tang Jiu had countless admirers. Whenever he saw a beautiful girl, he would display an appreciative look, causing the girl's heart to race and face to flush. At first glance, it seems like the protagonist's charm is too great. But when Shen Wang actually witnessed this appreciative look, he understood. This so-called pure appreciation was actually a sleazy up-and-down look. From the protagonist's perspective, it was misconstrued as appreciation. Seeing his object of interest pulled behind Shen Wang, Tang Jiu felt even more discontent. He suppressed his emotions. "Shen Wang, don't resist in vain. Cooperate with us and you might suffer less. You want him to go with you for investigation." A cold voice interjected into the conversation. "Where's your investigation order?" "Your arrest warrant." Tang Jiu furrowed his brows and looked towards the source of the voice. His brewing dissatisfaction vanished completely upon seeing the person. "When you first arrived, you shone like the sun rising and illuminating the beams of a house. As you progressed, you were bright like the moon casting its light." Hearing this, Gu Dongting's eyes turned icy, and Shen Wang's expression darkened. The original text mentioned that the big boss Gu Dongting became furious because of Tang Jiu's words, leading to an enmity between them. Hearing this, Shen Wang fully understood Gu Dongting's anger. What seemed like a compliment was actually a line from The Goddess, a story about King Xiang dreaming of a goddess he cannot obtain. The thought of this scenario being applied to Tang Jiu and Gu Dongting was enough to nauseate not just Gu Dongting himself, but also Shen Wang. Tang Jiu, oblivious to their disgust, fixated his gaze on Gu Dongting's flawless face. He had seen countless beauties, but none could compare to this man, even though he was male. Beautiful but not effeminate, radiant but not vulgar, carrying a blend of 3 parts heroism and 7 parts aloofness, fair as jade. Anyone else standing beside him seemed out of place, like a mismatch in a painting. Tang Jiu considered himself straight, having dated countless women, but looking at Gu Dongting, he realized he wasn't averse to men. A sword chi fiercely targeted Tang Jiu's eyes, startling him into retreating several steps. The sword chi grazed his face, leaving a trail of blood. Gu Dongting had merely issued a warning. His expression was icy, making him even more unapproachable. "If you dare to offend me again, don't blame me for being ruthless." Is this the upbringing of the Tang family? Huang Mao's face lost all traces of jest, filled with disgust. Disgusting. Only then did Tang Jiu realize that besides ordinary people, there were 2 cultivators here, one of whom he recognized, Qin Yurong. "What are you doing here?" It wasn't just Qin Yurong, the stunningly beautiful man had unleashed sword chi with a single move. Anyone capable of wielding sword chi was a powerful being, someone Tang Jiu could only look up to. This peer, appearing about his age, also possessed sword chi. Any fondness for beauty vanished from Tang Jiu's mind, replaced by envy and an intensified obsession with Shen Wang. If he could see Shen Wang's bloodline, he too could become stronger, no longer needing to look up to others. "If I weren't here, I wouldn't know what you're doing in the name of the mystical association," Qin Yurong spoke coldly. "I took on the mission at C University. What right do you have to apprehend anyone here?" Tang Jiu and Qian Liangjuan's faces changed instantly. The mystical association and the special department are supposed to be non-interfering entities, on equal footing. Qin Yurong looked at them intently, "But if you're misbehaving under the guise of the association, I'm obliged to report this to the association president." Hearing this, Qian Liangjuan panicked. He had merely followed Tang Jiu to assist in capturing a deviant practitioner. Their sect was completely unaware. If his sect found out he was apprehending people without a warrant under the association's name, he'd be punished at the very least, or worse, expelled from the sect. "Brother, we acted first and reported later in this case. But Shen Wang, an unaffiliated and unknown entity, caused the entire C University to be sealed off. We were just taking special measures for a special situation," Qian Liangjuan explained humbly, his earlier arrogance gone. Tang Jiu realized that with Qin Yurong's protection, he couldn't take Shen Wang. Gritting his teeth, he said, "Since you've taken this mission, I'll leave it to you. I hope you'll enforce the law impartially and not shield the guilty." With that, Tang Jiu left as disgraced as he had arrived. Everyone in the dormitory, who had been holding their breath, finally exhaled in relief. They couldn't interject in a conflict between masters and pretended as if they didn't exist. Li Pingping looked at Shen Wang worriedly, feeling frustrated. Even after Shen Wang had renounced all ties with the Tang family, Tang Jiu still couldn't let go and kept finding reasons to harass him. Amidst the slightly relaxed atmosphere, with everyone talking amongst themselves, Gu Dongting asked Shen Wang, "Do you have a grudge against him?" "Would you believe me if I said I have no grudge against him?" Shen Wang raised an eyebrow. Not only did they have no grudge, but Tang Jiu also owed him a favor. "I believe you," Gu Dongting responded. "That man's facial features indicate a smooth life, but his eyes show pettiness and selfish cruelty. Such people are troublesome, be careful." Surprised by the typically cold Gu Dongting's words, Shen Wang paused, then smiled. "I'll be cautious, and you should be too." The 2 of them, one destined to be a minor character who exits early in the story and the other a tragic major boss, it's unclear who's more unfortunate. But what they have in common is that their demise is due to Tang Jiu. In any case, being cautious of Tang Jiu is always wise. Gu Dongting, unaware of the deeper meaning in Shen Wang's words and thinking he was referring to Tang Jiu's frivolous actions, frowned slightly, showing a rare sign of distaste. Shen Wang hesitated. According to the original story, Gu Dongting's fiancé met Tang Jiu in Sea City, right around the time he was deprived of his bloodline by Tang Jiu. He hasn't died yet, but Shen Wang guessed that in the plot, his death was probably around this time. Do you have a fiancé? After hesitating for a while, Shen Wang finally broached the topic, speaking cautiously. A flicker of confusion passed through Gu Dongting's eyes. I don't have a fiancé. Shen Wang was also taken aback. You don't. The original text clearly stated that Wei Jiujiu, a nationally famous superstar, was Gu Dongting's betrothed, arranged by his parents since childhood. I don't, Gu Dongting asserted. Both of them looked at each other, puzzled, almost understanding the confusion in each other's eyes. How could you possibly not have a fiancé? How could I possibly have a fiancé? Seemingly recalling something, Gu Dongting tilted his head slightly and said, the only thing was, as a child, my parents jokingly said they would give me a little cousin as a bride. It was just a playful remark, no one took it seriously. That's it. Just that. The engagement that suffocated the female protagonist in the original text, just this. Shen Wang truly couldn't comprehend the logic of the original female protagonist. He numbly responded, then be cautious around this little cousin of yours. Meanwhile, Qin Yurong had discussed a resolution with the school's responsible person. Approaching Gu Dongting, he reported, Senior brother, we just need to dissipate the remaining effects of the karma of speech talisman. As for the main culprit, Jianiqiu was a victim and a commoner, not someone for the mystical community to deal with. They had no jurisdiction over her. As for Shen Wang, Qin Yurong scratched his head, wondering what to do. Technically, he should be taken to the special department for investigation, but with Gu Dongting still chatting amiably with Shen Wang, he didn't dare to interrupt. Gu Dongting nodded and finally said to Shen Wang, if you prefer not to reveal your sect, you can choose to register with the special department. This is like recruiting for the special department. Qin Yurong immediately got excited. Our special department is directly managed by the state, overseeing all matters of the mystical community. I can't guarantee for other places, but in Sea City Special Department, I have some say. There's an entry exam next month. Once you pass, you'll be a certified celestial master, and you can start accepting licensed tasks. Shen Wang agreed without much thought. Having the state as a backing seemed far more reassuring than any unofficial mystical association. Eventually, Shen Wang and Qin Yurong exchanged contact details and left. Standing at the school gate, watching their car drive away, Shen Wang found himself pondering aimlessly. He and Qin Yurong had just met once and already exchanged contacts. He wondered how many times he'd have to meet Gu Dongting before they could exchange contacts. The epidemic at the school soon passed. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief, as most students and teachers fully recovered from their ulcers, except for a few severe cases needing a few more days. Following the incident, the school promptly took action against several students and issued a strict notice prohibiting the spread of rumors and slander. With the joint efforts of the school and Jianiqiu's mother, several people who had been spreading rumors about her were caught. Among them were boys who harbored unrequited love turned bitter, men who thought she despised their poverty, and jealous female students. Jianiqiu's mother took them to court. During the trial, they still wore masks, under which were lips scarred by the ulcers. The school not only expelled some students but also reinstated Jianiqiu's postgraduate recommendation. She was more joyous upon hearing this news than on the day those who slandered her were publicly disciplined. Meanwhile, Shen Wang was planning to move out of the dormitory. After all, he wasn't a student of C University. Although the school tacitly allowed his presence and even provided a teacher's dormitory, he needed a quieter place for cultivation. As he was meticulously comparing options, Shen Wang found himself inexplicably trending online again, but this time, not in a positive light. After saving someone with a pink sun umbrella, rumors about him started circulating in secret, until a few days later, when these rumors surfaced and hit the hot search. These leaks detailed Shen Wang's background and his connections with the Tang family. This guy is no good. He's a well-known troublemaker in our neighborhood, good for nothing but his looks, always idling about. He was sponsored by a wealthy family, but insisted on living with them, shamelessly vying for affection against their own son. Impudent and brazen. You've all spoken, so let me share some gossip too. That wealthy family was so troubled by him that to get rid of him, they had to pay him 15 million as he threatened to squat there otherwise. The kind-hearted rich folks had no choice but to pay him off. Not only that, but after leaving, he also swindled tens of thousands from their biological son. One revelation after another exposed the destitute life of Shen Wang, laid bare under the sun for public scorn. He looks so good, but his character is so poor. This is a severe mismatch between appearance and morality. I knew there was a reason he suddenly trended a few days ago. He must be trying to make money off his looks since he has nothing else. I thought the video from the day was too exaggerated. How could someone save a person from jumping off a building with just an umbrella? I didn't dare to say it then, but now I can finally speak out. If you want to debut, go on a talent show and do it openly. Using acts of bravery to exploit our kindness, disgusting. If he debuts, I'll blacklist him for life. 15 million, wow. Why didn't the rich family just call the police? Why pay him so much? Either they were cursed or blackmailed. The last comment was quickly deleted. Tang Jiu looked at the overwhelming insults with a smile on his lips. After learning that Shen Wang had violated the rules of the mystical community, he initially didn't plan to play this card. He could have simply taken Shen Wang away, making him disappear under the pretext of dealing with a heretic. Then, he wouldn't have to expose himself publicly, silently, and unnoticed, with no one the wiser. But unfortunately, two obstacles appeared along the way. Tang Jiu's gaze darkened, then quickly returned to a smile. Now, Shen Wang had become an existence everyone spat upon. It would be normal for him to hide in shame, disappear, or even commit suicide due to cyberbullying. He just needed to wait a little longer, let the scandal grow, then seize the opportunity to take Shen Wang back to the Tang family. Tang Jiu's breathing quickened slightly, his only desire being the Tang family bloodline in Shen Wang's veins, which he had waited too long for and was now eager to claim. Chapter 22. Shen Wang, reading these comments online, felt indifferent. He had weathered many storms and was unfazed by being cursed online. Not only was he unruffled, but he was also even enthusiastically reading and commenting on these posts one by one. This netizen is clearly an experienced keyboard warrior. His page is filled with either insults or cynical rants, a clear sign of an unhappy life. This person has such a cute profile picture, yet manages to curse for hundreds of words without a single dirty word. Impressive. Indeed, the cuter the profile picture, the harsher the insults. Someone actually defended me. They just mentioned that all leaks are anonymous now, and the truth is unclear, and they got scolded dozens of times. Poor kid. While Shen Wang was completely unfazed by the situation, Li Pingping was infuriated. Brother Shen. How can you let them slander you like this? Shen Wang looked up, his eyes innocent. If they want to insult someone, I can't stop them. I can't exactly crawl through the internet to beat them up, right? You. Li Pingping, frustrated to the point of stomachache, raised his voice. Go and explain, you're nothing like what those leaks claim. Shen Wang looked at him with pity, patting his head. Oh, little brother, you're still too young. Not to mention the mystery of how his past was dug up and trending online, and who might be manipulating things from behind. Even if he were to explain it himself, his words would seem weak and hardly anyone would believe him. If he were to speak out now, it would only fuel the netizens' anger and lead to more attacks. The best strategy, in fact, is to play dead, hide away under a new identity, pretend nothing happened, and wait for the netizens to forget about this incident. Watching the hateful comments and then looking at Shen Wang, who had suddenly adopted a zen-like demeanor, Li Pingping took a few deep breaths and joined the fray, tapping furiously on the screen. Shen Wang is nothing like what's described in those leaks. You all just know how to anonymously leak information. Dare to reveal your own identities. Just as he was gearing up to continue his counterattack, several new replies appeared under Li Pingping's comment. Are you the person involved? Asking others to reveal their identities is so domineering, just like what the rumors say about you. Even if not directly involved, must be a friend or relative. But isn't Shen Wang an orphan? With his personality, it's unbelievable that he even has friends. Birds of a feather flock together. Shen Wang is of a certain type, so his friends must be similar. Unlike Shen Wang, Li Pingping didn't have the resilience to face such vitriol. Overwhelmed by anger, he blurted out a profanity with perfect pronunciation. Damn. Besides Li Pingping, there were Wang Kai, Su Cheng, Jian Yiqiu, and students from the neighboring dorm. Many spoke up for Shen Wang. But their voices in the vast online sea were like drops of water in the ocean, making no splash and quickly drowned out. Furthermore, they were even mocked and attacked by excited netizens, branded as paid trolls desperate for cash. Shen Wang casually found a nearby internet cafe, booked a private booth, and checked the trending comments again. As expected, they were getting more intense. Hiding and waiting for the storm to pass seemed like the best option, but Shen Wang wasn't someone to be easily manipulated. Petty and vindictive, he planned to get back at not just the mastermind but also those insulting netizens. Leisurely, Shen Wang booted up the computer and changed the username of his old account. His information had been thoroughly exposed, even his long and used Weibo account was dug up, its latest post flooded with abusive comments. Someone noticed his changed nickname and typed angrily, "You're still online in this situation. Just return the money, you vampire." After posting, they realized that Shen Wang had changed his nickname too. "Your dad is here. Is he mocking us? This must be provocation, right? Right. Right. I'm so angry. How dare he insult people? Today, I'm going to be the brave snowflake that confronts him." Just as the netizens were filled with righteous indignation, they were surprised to find that Shen Wang suddenly started a live stream. What is he doing? Is he trying to ride the wave of popularity? We're giving him traffic by scolding him. Couldn't become a star, so now he's debuting as an internet celebrity. Such thick skin, truly shameless. The live stream initially showed a brief blackout. During this time, more and more people flooded in, filling the screen with a barrage of insults. Soon, Shen Wang adjusted the camera, and his face appeared in the live stream. The relentless barrage of comments paused for a few seconds upon seeing his face. Shen Wang, trying live streaming for the first time and looking at himself in the small window, clicked his tongue. Indeed, good-looking people don't translate well on camera. It doesn't capture half of my beauty. The netizens, who were initially stunned by his appearance. Seeing the long lines of ellipses float across the screen, Shen Wang raised an eyebrow. Oh, you're here so soon. For some reason, the indignant netizens who had come to criticize him felt an ominous premonition, suspecting that things might not go as they expected. But soon, they got excited, rapidly sending messages in the live chat. You're ungrateful to those who kindly supported you, extorting and blackmailing them, a true ingrate. With your behavior, it's no wonder you ended up an orphan without parents. Using edited videos to deceive our emotions, thinking you can debut just with your looks, do you think the entertainment industry is that easy? Return the money to them. Pay back the money. Shen Wang watched for a few seconds, appearing contemplative. Just when everyone thought he would cry and apologize or pretend to be pitiful, he suddenly laughed. That's it. Just this. Shen Wang chuckled lightly. Although they knew they shouldn't, this light chuckle still made many people's ears tingle, and they couldn't help but lament for the umpteenth time, if only Shen Wang's character wasn't so flawed. Just a few repetitive phrases over and over. You're not tired of saying them, but I'm tired of hearing them. Shen Wang shook his head in disappointment. Do you think you're righteous little police officers? You're just shut-ins who lie around at home, venting your presence online. Not only single but also poor and ugly, unloved in reality, lacking soulmates or close friends, not even close with family, praying there's no exam if you're a student, or no overtime if you're working. Led by the nose by selectively filtered information online, the only difference between you and the older generation forwarding rumors in their social circles is that they do it on social media, you do it on other platforms. Why not read a book when you have free time, rather than believing in indistinguishable rumors online? Otherwise, you'll end up deleting your insults and pretending nothing happened after being proven wrong. How embarrassing. This speech left everyone dumbfounded. They came with sleeves rolled up, ready to righteously condemn the morally corrupt Shen Wang, only to find him not only unapologetic but also scolding them without remorse. Despite not using a single swear word, everyone felt as if they were hit in the knees by arrows, confused and infuriated. Who do you think you are to say these things? Damn, you're the one who's morally bankrupt, and you have the nerve to lecture us. What does our behavior have to do with you? At least we haven't crossed the moral bottom line, but what about you? You've trampled the legal bottom line. How would you know if I've crossed the legal bottom line? Are you a ghost following me or a fortune teller? Shen Wang scoffed, you curse at me, yet I'm not allowed to retaliate. Is it only permissible for officials to start fires, or are you just too fragile inside, daring only to join the crowd in insulting others, yet crumbling when you're the one being insulted? If you're going to insult others, be prepared to be insulted in return. With your mental fortitude, you're even worse than my younger brother. Although no one knew who Shen Wang's younger brother was, his mocking tone and unbridled demeanor were enough to infuriate anyone into a spiritual outburst. Li Pingping, who had been following Shen Wang's activities, was speechless upon discovering the live stream. Wang Kai, lying on the neighboring bed and watching the live stream, laughed loudly. Oh, Li, how low must your IQ be in Shen Ji's eyes to be used as a reference? Watching Shen Wang single-handedly take on numerous netizens, they sincerely remarked, Shen Gu is just Shen Gu, beyond our comprehension. While others were anxious and upset about him facing cyberbullying, Shen Gu had already started his counterattack, unleashing his own wave of online assault. The netizens in the live stream, bombarded by Shen Wang's volley of comebacks, were hopping mad but helpless, raging impotently. I typed slowly, do you dare to have a live verbal spar with me? A live verbal spar. Shen Wang seemed contemplative. Seeing his reaction, the netizens, who were verbally thrashed, suddenly became energized. Pick me for the live connection, I'm exceptional at insulting. I have a loud voice, let me verbally annihilate him. The internet limits my performance, let's go face to face in a video confrontation. After several rounds of intense battles, everyone's blood was boiling, itching to roll up their sleeves and physically confront Shen Wang. Mere typing could no longer satisfy their urge, leading to a strong demand for a live connection. With their eager guidance, Shen Wang quickly chose his first live opponent. Soon, the screen showed a fierce-looking young man who started to curse as soon as he saw Shen Wang. But Shen Wang was quicker, your wife is giving birth, and here you are arguing with me, a real scumbag. Nonsense, my wife's due in a month, it's still early for delivery, the young man retorted without hesitation. Don't think you can divert the topic, I'm telling you, I won't fall for your tricks. As soon as the young man finished speaking, his phone rang, interrupting his remaining words. He glanced at the screen to see an unfamiliar number, hesitating between continuing the argument with Shen Wang or answering the call. Shen Wang spoke calmly, I suggest you answer the call. Just because you tell me to answer, I should. How would that look on me? The young man retorted angrily, hanging up the call, you this scum. Before he could finish, the phone rang again. Torn between the urging messages on the live chat to keep insulting Shen Wang and his own unease, he finally, with gritted teeth, answered the call. The voice on the other end was loud, amidst a noisy background, is this Lu Chang? This is the provincial hospital. Your wife has been in a car accident and gone into early labor. Please come to the maternity ward as soon as possible. The young man almost thought it was a scam call, but upon hearing detailed information about his wife, he shuddered, abruptly left the computer, and dashed out, leaving the camera showing an empty room. What just happened? Is this guy an actor hired by Shen Wang? What the heck? Shen Wang calmly disconnected the live connection, smiling at the camera, who's next? Damn, I actually find this a bit creepy. Is this guy onto something mystical? Chapter 23. Some viewers began to doubt, but many still firmly believed that the previous person was just an actor hired by Shen Wang to scare them. Any smooth talkers out there? Come and give him a lesson he'll never forget. Switching from relying on looks to acting crazy, huh? Don't worry, no matter what path you take, it's a dead end. Hiring actors to mess with our minds. If I don't make you question your existence with my words, I'll swallow my keyboard right here. Shen Wang glanced at the barrage of comments and quickly connected the second person to the live stream. The next person to connect with Shen Wang was a seemingly underage boy, sitting in what looked like an internet cafe. He opened with the demeanor of a seasoned net surfer, your mother exploded, you little bastard. The watching netizens quickly recovered from the previous round's failure, rapidly cheering the boy on. Go, little brother. Be fierce like that. Although young, this little brother's verbal attacks are strong. Keep it up. However, when the excited netizens shifted their gaze to Shen Wang's expression, they didn't find the pain or sadness they were hoping for, but rather a look of disdain. What's with that expression? Shen Wang waited a few minutes before speaking slowly, your biological parents gave their lives to save you. Your adoptive parents never spoke of your origins, giving you the best family environment. Yet here you are, skipping school to play games. Are you living up to their sacrifice? What nonsense, the boy retorted, sneering. Do you think everyone is like you, an orphan without parents? Shen Wang, unfazed, continued, your sunken temples and pointed eyebrows indicate the loss of both parents. Yet your full lips and round face suggest that although orphaned early, you were adopted and blessed with later fortune. Stop playing fortune teller. You must have deceived too many under a bridge and now want to deceive me. I don't believe this crap, the boy slammed his fist on the table, people like you, without parents. Mid-insult, a hand suddenly grabbed the boy's ear and twisted it fiercely, Lu Zhishuan, so you've learned to skip school and curse people. Without turning back, the boy immediately apologized upon hearing the voice, sorry, mom, I was wrong, it hurts, it hurts. The netizens, who were waiting for the boy to unleash his fury, fell silent, watching him being scolded by his suddenly appearing mother. A comment slowly floated across the screen. He was once a king, until his mom arrived. Ignoring the embarrassment of being seen by hundreds of thousands online, the boy begged with hands clasped, Mom, I was wrong, but he started it by saying my parents died early and I was adopted. He's cursing you, so I got angry and argued with him. In his plea, the boy craftily omitted mentioning that he was the one who provoked the argument first. Sure enough, his mother soon let go of his ear. The boy hurriedly rubbed his red ear, eager to shut down the live stream and end this socially disastrous moment. Who's this bastard spouting nonsense? The boy's mother, rubbing her hands and swallowing, also scolded, Xiao Xian, don't believe what strangers say. The boy, not hearing what his mother was saying, was about to disconnect the live stream when he saw a few comments float by. Doesn't his mom's attitude seem off? Why does she sound somewhat guilty? If a mom hears someone say her child isn't biologically hers, wouldn't she usually joke, "Did I pick you up from the trash can?" Why is she so cautious? His mom came in all furious about him skipping class, but now she's gone quiet just because someone said the kid might not be hers. Her reaction is really strange. The boy's hand trembled, his heartbeat speeding up involuntarily as he looked at Shen Wang. "A piece of advice for you, free of charge," Shen Wang said, noticing the cold sweat on the boy's forehead. "Cherish what you have now." After saying this, he disconnected the call for the boy. The netizens, engaged in heated discussions, exploded in reaction. They felt like children whose parents had abruptly turned off the TV during the climax of a thrilling series, feeling an intense itch of curiosity. Why did he disconnect the call? His mom was right there. Just a few more questions, and we could have known the truth. The last time I was this angry was when someone revealed the murderer in the first chapter of a mystery novel. So, is he really her biological child or not? This is so frustrating. Ignoring the netizens' burning curiosity, Shen Wang casually connected with another person. This time, the person in the live stream was a young woman wearing a mask, standing on a busy street. She seemed surprised to have been chosen, her eyes wide with confusion as she and Shen Wang stared at each other. After a few seconds of staring at each other, the young woman gathered her composure, lowered her voice, and whispered into the microphone, "You're unloved and uncared for, sterile yet surrounded by descendants, destined to die alone with your grave dug up." Wow, that rhyme. Standing in the middle of the street to verbally spar with someone, that's quite a challenge. Even though this young lady isn't showing her face, she definitely seems beautiful. But why does she look familiar to me? Shen Wang glanced at her face and said, "I don't even need to see your facial features to know you'll divorce at least 3 times in your life." The young woman fell into a strange silence, then asked in a small voice, "Why is that?" Shen Wang's gaze fell on her obviously expensive clothes and bag. "You're young, beautiful, and wealthy, but most importantly, you have a naive and trusting personality, making you an easy target for scoundrels." Wow, 3 rhymes. Who am I? Where am I? Didn't I come here to scold someone? How did I end up in a rap audition show? Was the atmosphere this harmonious from the start? What happened to the promised verbal spat? The woman nervously adjusted her mask and asked softly, "So, is my current boyfriend a scoundrel?" "Professional fortune-telling, 2,000 per session, no bargaining," Shen Wang immediately responded. Without hesitation, the young woman sent a gift worth 2,000 in Shen Wang's live stream. After that, as if she remembered something, she sent another gift of the same value. "This way, when you withdraw the money, you can get the full 2,000 without the platform taking half," the woman explained. Rich lady alert. Nonchalantly dropping 4,000 on gifts, she's definitely wealthy. Typical naive and sweet girl, instantly sending gifts without a second thought, no wonder she's an easy target. Are these people really not actors hired by Shen Wang? This seems too coincidental. Unconcerned with the comments in the chat, Shen Wang's eyes sparkled as he spoke more softly to his generous benefactor, "Could you remove your mask? I'd like to see your face for a better reading." The woman hesitated for a moment before taking off her mask, and when her true face was revealed, the live stream erupted in excitement. Holy cow, isn't she that singing streamer with millions of fans? Feng Xiaomian. My goddess. Isn't Feng Xiaomian's boyfriend that famous gamer streamer with a million fans, Hui Dolph? Hui Dolph seems like a decent guy. He doesn't get upset even when losing games, has good emotional control, and treats Xiaomian well. How could he be a scoundrel? "Xiaomian, I'm right beside you," a stylishly dressed man squeezed into the frame, casting a peculiar glance at Shen Wang. "If you're watching a live stream, just watch. What's this about connecting? I thought you didn't like him. Why are you boosting his popularity?" Feng Xiaomian, holding her phone, seemed momentarily at a loss, her gaze shifting between her boyfriend and Shen Wang. Ultimately, her boyfriend's presence prevailed, and she was about to exit the live stream. "Your boyfriend, he's not a scoundrel," Shen Wang suddenly spoke up, causing Feng Xiaomian to pause. She smiled, and her boyfriend, feigning dissatisfaction but with a twinkle in his eye, teasingly said to Xiaomian, "Now you're satisfied, right? I knew Hui Dolph wasn't a bad guy. They're so sweet together, true couples are always more endearing than those forced pairings. Best wishes for your 99th. Shen Wang's next words followed swiftly, "He is scum." Both Feng Xiaomin and her boyfriend's smiles froze, and the boyfriend angrily retorted, "What do you mean? I get that you want to gain fame and ride on our popularity, but baseless slander is a bit much, isn't it?" The two men confronted each other through the phone screen, the chat still dotted with netizens' wishes, creating a tense yet somewhat comical atmosphere. "You've been dating since your teens, juggling multiple girlfriends at once, even causing 2 to have abortions. You're all sweet talk during the relationship, but as soon as you're bored, you kick them to the curb," Shen Wang said, his look of disdain for the men intensifying. Hui Dolph roared in anger, drawing the attention of many passers-by, but he was too engrossed to care. "Nonsense. I had a girlfriend before, but only that one ex, and we broke up amicably. You were born in a rural area, your parents struggled to raise you. After studying in the city, you looked down on your small-town girlfriend and even your rural parents," Shen Wang continued, unperturbed. "When you realized the vast gap between yourself and the wealthy, and that you could never bridge the class divide in a lifetime, you started targeting wealthy girlfriends, hoping to marry into a rich family for a shortcut to success. Your ex-girlfriend was your first target in this scheme. You were obsequious and eager to please her, but she had no intention of marrying you, only wanting a romantic relationship. When she broke up with you, however bitter, you had to accept it and then you met your current girlfriend, Feng Xiaomin. You must be desperate for fame, fabricating such a story to smear me," Hui Dolph said with a grim expression, glaring furiously at Shen Wang. If it's really like Shen Wang predicted, he's not just a scoundrel but utter scum. This typical phoenix man. If he really marries a rich and beautiful woman, who knows what might happen next, maybe even plotting against her family. Wait, why are you all believing Shen Wang's baseless claims? I hate to admit it, but I'm starting to believe him a bit, he might actually have a point. I think so too. +1. Hui Dolph, after reading the barrage, had his chest heaving with anger, trying to regain his composure. Shen Wang, this is slander. You've severely damaged my reputation and image. I have every right to sue you, so expect a court summons. Fabricating non-existent stories to smear someone, that's slander. If you want to sue, it should be for violation of privacy and defamation, Shen Wang suggested thoughtfully after pondering for a couple of minutes. His words infuriated Hui Dolph even further. Since becoming a live streamer, Hui Dolph had always maintained a gentle, polite image as a gentleman gamer. This was the first time he nearly cursed on camera. Shen Wang, having no fondness for Hui Dolph, turned his gaze to Feng Xiaomin, who stood stunned and unsure. Out of kindness, and considering the 4,000 worth of gifts, he advised, did he tell you he's an urbanite, orphaned? Feng Xiaomian's gaze flickered. His parents are alive and well. If you don't believe it, I suggest checking his phone. If there are unmarked strange numbers that call him regularly, try calling back. You might be in for a surprise. Feng Xiaomin motioned for Hui Dolph to hand over his phone. Hui Dolph stood rigid, clutching his phone until his knuckles whitened. Amidst the live broadcast, with all eyes on them, and considering Feng Xiaomin had even more popularity and fans, he couldn't refuse. Knowing the consequences of refusal, he handed over the phone. Feng Xiaomin snatched the phone, scrolling through the call log, and indeed found a strange number that appeared monthly. She might have missed it if they didn't rely on chatting apps more than calls nowadays. Observing Hui Dolph's reaction and the mysterious number, Feng Xiaomin felt a premonition. Ignoring his pleading look, she dialed the number. Hello. Son, why are you calling? Do you need more money? An invisible bomb exploded inside Feng Xiaomin and the audience's hearts. Damn, Shen Wang really has something special. Incredible, how he can see through people over the internet. Does anyone around him have secrets, or do they feel eerie around him? I'd like to say they're actors, but it's Feng Xiaomin and Hui Dolph. How could Shen Wang afford to hire them? Can someone like Hui Dolph, a scoundrel, be a popular streamer? At official, time to take action against this scum, ban him quickly. Oh my, I apologize for ever badmouthing Shen Wang before. Is it too late to start calling him Brother Shen now? Is Brother Shen still doing call-ins? I have a lowly voice and want to know when I'll find a partner. Barrages of comments continued, half discussing Hui Dolph's scandal, the other half admiring Shen Wang. Meanwhile, the viewers in Shen Wang's live room had surpassed 1 million. From the initial tens of thousands who came to berate Shen Wang to over 1 million now, everyone had gone through a transformation from, I'm here to lambast this charlatan, to Brother Shen is incredible. In front of everyone, Feng Xiaomin politely chatted with the elder on the phone, then, unable to hold back her tears any longer, she broke down, it's over for us. Hui Dolph turned ashen-faced, realizing he had not only lost his newly acquired rich girlfriend but also ruined his carefully crafted streaming persona, effectively getting blacklisted in the industry. After Feng Xiaomian's stern parting words, she walked to a quiet corner and sobbed uncontrollably, thanking Shen Wang, thank you, Brother Shen. If it weren't for you, hic. I would have been fooled. Her crying and hiccuping, devoid of any image, tugged at her fans' heartstrings, flooding the chat with comforting messages. It's okay, Xiaomin. When one door closes, another opens. The next guy will be even better. Good riddance to such a jerk. You're lucky you saw his true colors early. Don't cry, goddess. Your tears are making me want to cry too. Shen Wang, however, remained unsympathetic, I was just doing a job for money, no need to thank me. Fans who were secretly hoping for a romantic pairing. Brother Shen definitely doesn't have a girlfriend. Hearing this, Feng Xiaomin, tears still streaming, bombarded the screen with gifts, then cautiously asked, Brother Shen, about that divorce 3 times thing, is it true? Her naive, easily deceived appearance slightly pricked at Shen Wang's non-existent conscience. No, it's not true. I just said that to tease you. Only then did Feng Xiaomin remember she had initially joined the stream to argue with Shen Wang, and she had said some pretty harsh things. This realization made her cry even harder. After tearfully apologizing, Feng Xiaomin voluntarily ended the live stream, planning to vent and heal with her close friends. Seeing Shen Wang's intention to continue connecting with viewers, the barrage of comments eagerly tried to catch his attention, each person striving to stand out. Some astute viewers noticed Shen Wang's particular interest and began bombarding him with gifts. Attracted by the glittering effects of the gifts, Shen Wang noticed the precise amount of 2,000 and chose to connect with the generous donor. A well-dressed man, prepared for his moment, immediately asked, Mr. Shen, what's your take on the widespread rumor that you were supported by a benevolent family but extorted 15 million from them? Is this true? Shen Wang raised an eyebrow at the well-prepared inquisitor but remained silent. Undeterred by the silence, the men pressed on, Mr. Shen, besides the 15 million, did you also swindle 50,000 from their child? After posting your edited video of saving someone with a pink umbrella, did you harbor ambitions of entering the entertainment industry? Now that you're live streaming, is it because you know your reputation is tarnished and the entertainment industry is off limits, so you're settling for being an internet celebrity? These sharp and precise questions targeted all of Shen Wang's alleged scandals. Newcomers to the stream might have been swayed by the man's rhetoric to join the chorus of condemnation. What's with this guy? Who is he, harboring such malice against Brother Shen? It's weird now that I think about it. What kind of saints are that family, sponsoring an orphan and then obediently paying a 15 million extortion? Don't they know how to call the police? The parents paid 15 million, and the son another 50,000. I feel like they didn't sponsor Brother Shen, but rather he saved their entire family, and that's why they're so good to him. With Shen Wang being so mystical, could he have cast a spell on that family? It sounds far-fetched, but it's also possible. The man, initially satisfied with the barrage, suddenly stiffened. He had just joined the stream and was clueless about the previous events, hence his confusion at the strange comments. He thought, shouldn't they be criticizing now? Why are these people not following the script? And why are their criticisms so bizarre, mentioning spells? Trying to steer the conversation back on track, the man asked, Mr. Shen, did you act this way towards the people who kindly helped you because you needed money? At this moment, the omnipotent viewers finally uncovered the man's identity. Isn't that the journalist from Qingnan News, known for causing sensations with his reports? I remember him now. Isn't he notorious for only caring about traffic and trends, completely disregarding the truth? Wasn't Qingnan News the first to spread the story about Brother Shen this time? Ah, the infamous Qingnan News. Hearing this name actually puts me at ease. I get you, I also felt relieved. There's a high chance the news is either false or twisted. Let's wait and see what Brother Shen has to say. Brother Shen said nothing in response to the man's questions. Instead, he stroked his chin, contemplating, and curiously remarked, "You are the hardest working person I've ever seen." What? The man was taken aback, not quite understanding. Shen Wang smiled gently. "You are surrounded by an aura of imminent death, only a few days to live, and yet here you are, working. I've never seen anyone so devoted to their job." The man's face changed. "Mr. Shen, please don't joke about such things. Our relationship isn't that close." Shen Wang blinked, agreeing amicably. "All right then, good luck to you." Just as the man was gearing up to press Shen Wang further, aiming to write a controversial article to incite the wrath of netizens, he saw the barrage of exclamation marks on the live chat. "Bro, I advise you to cling to Brother Shen's leg now. If Brother Shen says you're going to die, then you're going to die. Beg Brother Shen to save your life. Stop being stubborn. Your life is on the line. Even if you have to call Shen brother dad, it's a win for you." The men glanced at the eye-straining barrage of comments and then at Shen Wang's audacious nickname, "Your daddy is here," nearly choking in frustration. He almost lost his breath in anger. These netizens are too disobedient these days, not as easily swayed as before. Seeing that he couldn't incite the netizens against Shen Wang, and failing to extract any sensational news from him, the man cut the connection abruptly after saying only a few words. Sitting in his office, he couldn't help but question, what kind of magic does Shen Wang possess? Just yesterday the whole internet was cursing him, and today they're all calling him Brother Shen. Earning money has never been this hard. Saying so, the man stood up, deciding to take a break and leave the rest of the work to his subordinates. However, as he walked through the corridor, the lights flickered continuously. Looking up, he muttered, "These lights need fixing, they've been flickering for days." Talking to himself, he stepped into the elevator and casually pressed the button for the first floor, not noticing that the fourth floor button lit up simultaneously. P.S. I've been reported for having 2 receivers in my story and the attacker supposedly running a harem. It's such an injustice, really. The receiver in my story is not even fragmented or schizophrenic, it's just incomplete memories. It's like a document stored in the cloud. The version on the phone is one, and the version on the computer is another, but in reality, it's the same file. A simple refresh updates both the phone and computer to the latest version of the file. Moreover, the receiver in my story has only made an appearance so far without any emotional interaction. Reporting me for silver grade please, I am at a loss for words. My reader should be quite familiar with my writing style by now. The relationship between silver grade please and my story is probably a tad closer than that between Lin Daiyu and Voldemort. Chapter 24. The elevator descended smoothly. The man was absorbed in his phone, scrutinizing the public opinion about Shen Wang. Unlike the comments in Shen Wang's live broadcast, at this moment, various social media platforms were filled with curses against Shen Wang, which slightly lifted the man's gloomy mood. Just a few scrolls down, he encountered some bizarre comments. Believe it or not, from today onwards, I'm a hardcore fan of Shen Wang. Reposting this about Brother Shen can keep the jerks away and bring love. Thanks to Brother Shen for opening the doors to a new world for me, much appreciated, smile. The man was utterly confused, frowning and cursing under his breath. What's wrong with these people? What kind of nonsense is this? Just as he uttered the last word, the elevator doors opened, and he stepped out without a second glance. He walked for a while before realizing something was amiss. The usually short elevator corridor seemed unusually long today. Despite it being a bright afternoon, his surroundings were pitch black, as if he couldn't see his own hand in front of him. A primal fear of darkness, embedded in human DNA, caused the man's heart to race. He tried to turn on the flashlight on his phone, but his trembling hands failed him repeatedly. Using the faint glow from his phone screen, he noticed that his phone had somehow lost all signals. No signal, then what were those comments he just refreshed? An eerie chill pervaded the air, cold sweat trickling down his spine, his hair standing on end, his face ashen. They say this guy is no good. As long as there's money, he's willing to do anything, even sell his soul. Just trash, really disgusting. I hope he dies soon. A waste of air when alive, a waste of land when dead. His mother should never have given birth to him. Disgusting. Such a person even has a wife and child. His wife must be no better to marry him. 2 rotten people can only raise another rotten person, a new generation of filth. Just die already. Shen Wang has neither a wife nor children. Who are these people cursing? Sensing something amiss, the man tried to exit the social media app, but his fingers seemed to move on their own, refreshing the feed once more. On the screen, different accounts began posting the same phrase at exactly 4 hours 44 minutes and 44 seconds. Even the time on his phone mirrored this eerie coincidence, showing 4 hours 44 minutes and 44 seconds precisely. Die. The same 3 words, perfectly aligned in row after row, flooded from countless accounts. The man's pupils dilated in shock. As he held his breath, the relentless chance of die seemed to leap out of the phone, forcefully invading his eyes. Why don't you just die? If only you were dead. In that moment, fear was drained from his body, leaving only one thought: it would be better if I were dead. Justice. A resounding voice suddenly shattered the darkness. The man jolted, wrenching himself from the bizarre trance. His colleague was gripping his wrist tightly. What are you doing by the window? Half of your body was leaning out. If I hadn't grabbed you. Only then did the man realize he was standing at the edge of a 4th floor window, with bright sunlight pouring into the corridor. That was dangerously reckless, his colleague murmured, with a hint of sarcasm. Your latest story has made a huge splash, over 1 million reads, 100,000 likes and shares. It's caused such a stir, you'll surely get a hefty bonus. Wiping the cold sweat from his forehead, the man glanced at his phone, suddenly reluctant to face the consequences of his orchestrated public opinion. The phone's sleek surface was sticky with sweat. Gathering courage, he unlocked the screen with his fingerprint. Support handing Shen Wang over to the police. Extortion should get him in deep trouble. And he's still streaming. Can't you women have some dignity? falling for any handsome guy, even lowlifes like him. Shen Wang is from Sea City, and there aren't many people there who can just dish out 15 million like that. Has no one figured out who that kind-hearted person is? The man, relieved, asked his colleague, did you feel like it was particularly dark in here just now? His colleague looked puzzled. No, not at all. Maybe there's something wrong with your eyes. What had just happened felt like an illusion, leaving no trace, but the man was acutely aware that if his colleague hadn't woken him up, he might have jumped out of the window. Suddenly, he remembered a phrase that echoed in his ears, you're surrounded by a ghostly aura, not long to live. When he first heard it, he thought Shen Wang was cursing him for knowing the truth. Now, he wasn't so sure. Then there were those strange comments in the live stream. He suddenly realized he might have overlooked something crucial. Ignoring his colleague, he walked out in a daze. Jingyi. Lu Jingyi. The colleague watched his back, spat dismissively, and muttered, old hyena, bound to get his comeuppance. Shen Wang didn't stream for long. When the barrage of insults turned into pleas for connection and flaunts of wealth, he ended the stream. Before logging off, Shen Wang saw over 99 plus message notifications. He paused and opened the list. He reported and blocked those who cursed vulgarly without a second glance, those who insulted more subtly even caught his interest for a moment before he dismissed them. To someone who didn't care, these words were inconsequential. Clicking on one particular message, Shen Wang paused. It was from the underage student he had connected with. The boy had sent a long message. Shen Wang summarized it, the boy had a talk with his mother and found out he was indeed adopted. Remembering how he had troubled his adoptive parents and that his birth parents had died in a car accident protecting him, he felt he was wasting time. He decided to disconnect from the internet, study hard, and become someone useful to society, to repay both sets of parents. At the end of the message, the boy expressed gratitude and apologized to Shen Wang. Brother Shen, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have cursed you, especially not bringing up your parents. I was too thoughtless before. Shen Wang calculated and found that in the original fate of this young man, he would have continued his reckless ways, failing to get into university and starting work early. At 30, his foster mother fell seriously ill. Only then did he discover his true origins and matured, but it was too late. He couldn't gather enough money for his foster mother's medical expenses and lived with regret for the rest of his life. Now, the young man's destiny had shifted. He would study hard, get into a decent university, make good friends, and after graduation, he would work hard. When his foster mother fell ill, he managed to treat her with his savings and money borrowed from friends. He would have a fairly good future. It's all about timing and fate, Shen Wang mused with a slight smile. Many people believe that destiny is unchangeable, but in reality, destiny is in one's own hands. Every decision made shapes a person's life. And cultivators, they contend with fate itself. Replying casually with a message encouraging diligent study, Shen Wang then put the matter out of his mind. Finally cleared all those annoying little red notifications, Shen Wang logged out of his account, just as his phone started to ring. Hello, is this Mr. Shen Wang? What is it? Hearing this voice, Shen Wang glanced at the unfamiliar number and raised an eyebrow. Good day, Mr. Shen, I'm the person you were just connected with. My name is Lu Jingyi. Lu Jingyi, regretting and feeling awkward about his previous disrespect toward Shen Wang, forced a smile and reminded, the one in the suit, who asked you several questions. You said I was surrounded by an ominous aura. Do you remember me? I'm not senile yet, Shen Wang replied irritably, get to the point or I'm hanging up. Wait, Mr. Shen, please don't hang up. Lu Jingyi raised his voice to stop him, knowing he had offended Shen Wang first and dared not get angry. He asked in a lower tone, you said I was surrounded by a ghostly aura and my life is in danger. Do you have any solution? Shen Wang chuckled, drawing out his words meaningfully, has he come for you? Master Shen, please save me. Upon hearing Shen Wang's words, Lu Jingyi's last bit of doubt vanished, and he cried out for help, his voice shrill, almost piercing Shen Wang's eardrums. Shen Wang, slightly annoyed, moved his phone away and said with a smile, there's a saying, saving a life is more meritorious than building a 7-story pagoda. Lu Jingyi's eyes lit up, thank you, Master Shen, I knew you were a man of high morals and great wisdom, and you wouldn't just stand by and watch someone die. But I don't help the destitute, Shen Wang leisurely added the rest of his sentence, my fee for a reading is 2,000, but since you're in such a plight, I'll give you a discount. Hearing the first part, Lu Jingyi tensed, immediately thinking of the 15 million Shen Wang had received from the Tang family. Before he could worry further, he heard 2,000 and a discount. Lu Jingyi was immensely grateful and hurriedly thanked him, thank you, Master Shen, thank you. After the discount, it's 200. Lu Jingyi was so elated he felt like he was dreaming. 1,000. With his smile freezing on his face, Lu Jingyi's mouth hung open in disbelief. How much? 2 million, Shen Wang emphasized and repeated. 2 million. Lu Jingyi, red in the eyes from either anger or excitement, had struggled for years in Sea City, using unscrupulous means to amass a fortune of 4 to 5 million. And now, Shen Wang dared to demand half of it in one go. If not for Shen Wang's esteemed status as a master, he would have already cursed it out loud. Standing stiffly for a while, Lu Jingyi finally gritted his teeth and said, Master Shen, this price is too high. I don't have that much money. Can you give me another discount? Take it or leave it. After all, it's not my life that's at stake. With that, Shen Wang hung up the phone. Listening to the busy tone, Lu Jingyi was so angry he ground his teeth. 2 million. You might as well be a robber. Sea City is so big, there must be Taoist temples and monasteries. I refuse to believe you're the only one who can solve this problem. Unaware of Lu Jingyi's rage, Shen Wang thought himself kind-hearted and merciful for only asking a mere 2 million. Little did he know the other party would be ungrateful. Shen Wang shook his head in resignation, a miser blinded by money, his life hanging by a thread, and still all he thinks about is money. But thinking about Lu Jingyi's facial features and the heavy aura of resentment surrounding him, Shen Wang was intrigued. Ghosts have ranks, starting with the relatively harmless earthbound spirits. Incapable of physical contact with the living or objects, yet able to affect the mind and health, the vengeful spirits kill through illusions. Ferocious ghosts can directly interact with the living and kill them. Followed by the formidable lesser demon kings, and ultimately, the great demon king, a legend. 5 ranks in total. In modern society, vengeful spirits are rare and fierce entities, requiring the combined efforts of several ordinary cultivators to subdue. Given the intensity of the ghostly aura on Lu Jingyi, normal cultivators wouldn't cope. It would take the older generation or a genius like Gu Dongting to handle that spirit. It might even be at the level of a ferocious ghost. Shen Wang's asking price of 2 million is indeed fair, without a trace of personal vendetta. Sadly, Lu Jingyi missed his chance. Shen Wang thought indifferently, hoping he could live a few more days, praying for him. Chapter 25. Shen Wang didn't take Lu Jingyi seriously, merely crossing himself silently and praying for him. The next day, Shen Wang received another call from Lu Jingyi, this time with a sobbing, trembling voice. Master Shen, save me, please save me. Shen Wang was very puzzled. Save what life? From Lu Jingyi's chaotic cries and howls, Shen Wang managed to piece together the truth of the matter. It turned out that Lu Jingyi, remarkably efficient, had found a certified Taoist priest from somewhere, paying 200,000 for ghost-catching assistance. Thinking he had struck a bargain, little did he know the priest was inept, failing not only to capture the ghost but also getting severely beaten by it, vomiting blood on the spot, while his apprentice fell into a coma, unresponsive. Now, both priests had lost their fighting ability, barely sustaining themselves with some magical instruments, but even an outsider like Lu Jingyi could tell they wouldn't last much longer. Master Shen, 2 million. I'll pay 2 million. Please save me, I don't want to die. Lu Jingyi, emotional and desperate on the phone, Shen Wang's eyes twinkled. 2 million was yesterday's price, today it's gone up. Faced with life and death, Lu Jingyi no longer cared about how hard-earned his money was, agreeing immediately. No matter the cost, I'll gather it, even if I have to sell everything, as long as you, Master Shen, can save my life, money is no object. 3 million, said Shen Wang. No problem. Lured by the call of money, Shen Wang sprang from his bed, grabbed his talismans and cinnabar, and left the house. Arriving at Lu Jingyi's, his house was already shrouded in increasingly dense black resentment, oppressively hanging in the air like storm clouds, causing an unsettling feeling. To ensure the Taoist priest could perform rituals undisturbed, Lu Jingyi had already sent his wife and children away. Now, the empty living room only had 3 men lying askew on the floor. Like standing in a glistening bubble, a huge bubble radiating soft white light burst through the black fog, approaching the 3 people on the ground. Well, if it isn't that someone, Shen Wang laughed upon recognizing the faces on the ground. Last time we met, you were as aggressive as a fighting cock. How come today you're like a capon? The Taoist priest hired by Lu Jingyi for 200,000 turned out to be Qian Liangjuan. Qian Liangjuan's mouth still had traces of blood he hadn't managed to wipe off, lying on the ground unable to move, his expression ugly, eyes wide with anger. We've only met 3 times in total, and each time you're worse than the last, Shen Wang sighed genuinely. Ancient martial clans, all like you. Speaking, Shen Wang gave Qian Liangjuan a meaningful glance, as if saying everything without saying anything. Shen Wang. Qian Liangjuan struggled to stand, like a salted fish trying to flip over, comically pitiful. Don't think just because you've learned a bit of superficial magic you're invincible, doing whatever you please. The world of ancient martial families is full of capable people. Shen Wang scoffed lightly. Capable people like you. Lu Jingyi watched the exchange between Shen Wang and Qian Liangjuan, glancing from one to the other, then eagerly approached Shen Wang. Master Shen, given the urgency of the situation, when will you show your great powers and subdue this evil spirit? By now, the surrounding black fog had grown so thick that it was almost impossible to see the furnishings in the room, the negative energy and resentment almost tangible, oppressive. Shen Wang looked around, pinching a triangular talisman between his fingers, and casually tossed it forward, the sound of crackling and lightning momentarily opening a small gap in the black fog. A 5 Thunder Talisman. How do you have a 5 Thunder Talisman? Qian Liangjuan's pupils constricted in shock. The 5 Thunder Talisman is one of the most powerful attack talismans, extremely difficult to draw, requiring high-quality talisman paper and cinnabar. Only a few elder-level figures in the metaphysical community can make them. Shen Wang, a rogue practitioner without a school or lineage, without a master or a teacher, how could he have a 5 Thunder Talisman? Shen Wang paid him no heed, pulling several small yellow triangles from his pocket and tossing them out all at once. After a chaotic mixture of breezes and flames, the black fog ahead thinned considerably, but Shen Wang showed no joy. His gaze hardened, fingers pinching several talismans, vigilantly eyeing what lay ahead. Shen Wang's casual use of so many talismans left Qian Liangjuan staring in disbelief. Qian Liangjuan, priding himself on his noble heritage as a descendant of an ancient martial family, was just one of many in his sect, competing with his fellow disciples for cultivation resources. With only mediocre talent, Qian Liangjuan received little, and today, to combat this vengeful spirit, he had nearly exhausted all his magical instruments, barely managing to stay alive. If I had so many powerful talismans. A flicker of greed crossed Qian Liangjuan's eyes as he fixated on the talismans at Shen Wang's fingertips. Shen Wang stood silently confronting the black fog, then suddenly, under Lu Jingyi's terrified gaze, stepped into it. Master Qian, Master Shen, he's gone in. With the only master capable of resisting the evil spirit gone, Lu Jingyi was trembling with fear, nearly in tears. Why is he so unlucky? Each master he found more unreliable than the last. Was he destined to die here today? Qian Liangjuan also frowned deeply, gritting his teeth and struggling to send a message on his phone. The vengeful spirit, hidden in the pervasive gloom, watched Shen Wang advance step by step into its territory, calculating how to drain the Taoist's magical powers. Then to drag him into its realm of resentment, leaving him unable to live or die. The next second, Shen Wang pinched his fingers, and the talismans in his hand ignited without fire. The flames, sensing the surrounding negative energy, began to greedily devour it. In an instant, the vengeful spirit felt a significant portion of its negative energy being devoured, as if a large bite had been taken out of a cake, clearly noticeable. What is this thing? The vengeful spirit, driven only by obsession and resentment even after death, was shocked, hurriedly withdrawing the black fog around Shen Wang back into itself. Heavenly Fire Talisman, really effective. Shen Wang was quite satisfied with the effect of the Heavenly Fire Talisman. Heavenly Fire, being yang, encounters energy as if it were paper, able to burn it cleanly in minutes. But Heavenly Fire, drawn from the sun, not only burns negative energy but can also ignite objects. If not controlled well, it could easily start a fire. Once Shen Wang was sure he could keep the range of the Heavenly Fire within the room, he had no more concerns. As for the furniture in Lu Jingyi's room, it was all down to luck now. Shen Wang felt no guilt, ready to activate another heavenly fire talisman, when the elusive vengeful spirit finally revealed itself. The vengeful spirit, with its blazing red eyes, stared at Shen Wang, full of resentment. Taoist, there is a cause and effect between him and me. This is what he owes me, why are you obstructing me? This ghost resentment was so intense that it showed signs of evolving into a more powerful spirit. Shen Wang frowned and said, what's the cause and effect between you two? Tell me, maybe I can help you. The ghost, swirling in black fog, hesitated, its pale ghostly face full of confusion. Why is this Taoist not following the usual approach? After a 2-minute standoff, the spirit, overpowered by the heavenly fire talisman, reluctantly started to speak. The ghost, named Jiang Lin, had died by suicide half a year ago, and the cause was a report by Lu Jingyi. Qingnan Daily is a nationally renowned newspaper that successfully transitioned to a digital media platform after the decline of print media, gaining tens of millions of online followers with astonishing credibility and influence. In life, Jiang Lin was a doctor who treated a patient from a not-so-wealthy family. After surgery, he recommended a cheaper alternative to an expensive medicine, less effective but more affordable. His hospital didn't stock this alternative, so he advised the patient's family to buy it from a pharmacy outside. This should have been a commendable act, and the patient was very grateful. Lu Jingyi learned about this and proposed an interview with Jiang Lin. Unsuspecting, Jiang Lin agreed. Days later, a news story titled, A Third-Grade Hospital Doctor Insists Patients Buy Drugs He Recommends, exposing the dark dealings between doctors and pharmaceutical reps, when will this end, erupted. Lu Jingyi twisted Jiang Lin's interview, hitting hard on the public's anxiety over doctor-patient relationships. The news dominated the trending searches for days. Jiang Lin was relentlessly vilified, suspended by his hospital. Even at home, his relatives and friends would mockingly ask him how much money he made from recommending a drug. I thought of proving my innocence through death. The previously calm resentment surged again, a blood tear sliding down his pale face, shockingly and tragically, but after my death, the news vindicating me only got a few thousand shares. No one cared about my death, only my patient spoke up for me. Meanwhile, Lu Jingyi, riding the wave of this news story, reaped substantial traffic and clicks, grinning ear to ear every day. Even after learning about Jiang Lin's death, he merely remarked casually, how could a good person just die like that? I hate. Jiang Lin's gaze fixed firmly in one direction, piercing through layers of black fog to see Lu Jingyi's unrepentant face. He instigated this cyber violence, he caused my death. I want him to pay with his life. Over the past 6 months, Jiang Lin followed Lu Jingyi, watching him disregard the truth to fabricate one false story after another, triggering netizen sensitivities and causing innocent parties to be cyberbullied. Even when the truth was later clarified, no one paid attention anymore. From a mere earthbound spirit to now a more powerful vengeful ghost, Jiang Lin's sole obsession was to see Lu Jingyi dead. As he spoke, Jiang Lin's ghostly aura grew even denser. Shen Wang sighed, knowing Jiang Lin had sunk deep into obsession, turning demonic. The stronger the ghost, the easier it is to lose oneself. Ordinary earthbound spirits can reincarnate after resolving their obsessions, but vengeful and fierce ghosts disperse their obsessions after completion. Now, Jiang Lin only wants Lu Jingyi to pay with his life. Once Lu Jingyi dies, Jiang Lin will follow the internet wires to those who cyberbullied him, making them pay too. Eventually, he'll become a mindless, murderous fierce ghost, killing anyone he encounters. Death is nothing, Shen Wang clicked his tongue, advising Jiang Lin, for some, living is the true torment. The darkened Jiang Lin, shrouded in black mist, paused, looking at the peculiar Taoist in front of him. After an uncertain wait, Lu Jingyi and others heard footsteps coming from the black fog, drawing nearer to the living in the room. Lu Jingyi knelt on the ground, where faint yellow stains spread. I haven't lived enough, I have a wife and kids, I don't want to die. Qian Liangjuan's face was pale, but as a cultivator, he managed to keep his composure, unlike Lu Jingyi, who had wet himself in fear. What's that smell, so unpleasant? The person emerging from the black mist pinched their nose in disgust. Upon a closer look, Lu Jingyi burst into tears again. Master Shen, you're all right. Don't scare me, I'm faint-hearted. Shen Wang, with a smile not quite a smile, looked down at Lu Jingyi and asked, do you remember Jiang Lin? Instantly, Lu Jingyi's face drained of color, trembling, he's the ghost. He's come back for me. It's not my fault, he was just mentally weak, that's why he committed suicide. It has nothing to do with me. Lu Jingyi continued to wail and incoherently defend himself. I just published a news story, I didn't do anything, it was the netizens who insulted him. Why come after me and not them? I'm innocent. As Lu Jingyi's excuses grew louder, the faint ghostly aura in the air suddenly turned into a deep black, like angry thunderclouds ready to strike him. Shen Wang glanced at Jiang Lin hidden in the black fog, then coldly said to Lu Jingyi, what you think doesn't matter. What matters is, Jiang Lin wants your life. As Lu Jingyi trembled with fear, Shen Wang asked, do you still want to live? Chapter 26. Death may be terrifying, but the most torturous pain is always in living. Jiang Lin agreed with Shen Wang's words. Amid Lu Jingyi's continuous pleas of, I want to live, Jiang Lin floated out from the black fog. At the sight of him, Lu Jingyi screamed, fell to his knees, and began kowtowing, Brother Jiang, I was wrong, I shouldn't have fabricated news. I have elderly parents and young children, please spare me. Qian Liangjuan, as if facing a formidable enemy, mustered his last strength to attack the daringly exposed vengeful ghost. However, a hand as white as jade rested on his shoulder, and Shen Wang's calm voice came from above. This is their grudge. As long as no lives are taken, why interfere? Exorcising demons is a Taoist's duty, to eradicate evil at all costs. Shen Wang, your dubious magical abilities are one thing, but aiding an evil spirit. I'll report this to the Metaphysical Association, see how you handle that. Qian Liangjuan glared at Shen Wang, his gathered spiritual energy dissipated, uttering threats. Shen Wang looked down at him, speechless, are you reminding me to eliminate the root to prevent future trouble? Qian Liangjuan stiffened, murder is a crime. As soon as he spoke, he realized his folly. Do you need my help? Jiang Lin's head rotated 180 degrees, his blood red, pupil-less eyes fixed on Qian Liangjuan. Qian Liangjuan bluffed with a stiff neck, Shen Wang, if you direct this evil spirit to kill me, you'll become a completely evil cultivator, hunted by the entire metaphysical community. Jiang Lin, brimming with murderous intent, waited for just a word from Shen Wang to engulf the foolish Taoist and the unconscious one on the floor in black fog. Shen Wang, rubbing his forehead in frustration, said, "Hurry and resolve your own issue. With all this commotion, the Metaphysical Association and special departments will soon be here, and you won't be able to escape." For Jiang Lin, his mortal enemy who caused his death was more important than a Taoist who merely discomforted him. Jiang Lin's neck rotated another 180 degrees back to the front, staring at Lu Jingyi, his voice chilling and terrifying. "Do you want to die, or do you want to live?" The scene was so terrifying that Lu Jingyi almost fainted from fear. Worried Jiang Lin wouldn't let him wake up if he did, he bit the inside of his mouth to stay conscious, oblivious to the taste of blood. "I want to live. Brother Jiang, I want to live. I don't want to die. Please give me a chance. I want to live." Jiang Lin and Shen Wang exchanged glances, and then Jiang Lin said, "I want you to publicly apologize to me online and confess all the wrongdoings you've ever done." All right, I agree. I agree to everything." Lu Jingyi hastily consented without hesitation. Under Jiang Lin's watchful eye, Lu Jingyi didn't dare to stand up. Crawling on all fours, he reached for his phone thrown on the ground, shakily typing a message in the memo app. After finishing, he turned to Jiang Lin with a flattering smile, holding up his phone respectfully. "Look, is this okay? How would you like me to change it?" Before Jiang Lin could speak, Shen Wang took the phone, glancing over it briefly. "Your apology to Jiang Lin seems sincere enough, but what about the others you've slandered? Write them all in." Lu Jingyi shuddered. If he exposed all the dirty deeds he had done since starting his career, it would mean the end of his professional path. Despite inwardly cursing, with a vengeful ghost watching, he dared not resist and took back his phone to continue writing, his face a picture of misery. This time, Shen Wang only glanced briefly. "You're on the brink of death and still trying to be deceitful. Since you don't wish to live, I won't bother with you anymore." At these words, Jiang Lin instantly realized Lu Jingyi was trying to fool him. Angered, he let out a loud shout, and black fog instantly surged into Lu Jingyi's body, tormenting him into continuous screams. Lu Jingyi's skin swelled and burst as he writhed in agony, smearing the floor with blood, eventually becoming too weak to roll, curling up like a shrimp, emitting faint groans. Refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Jiang Lin then withdrew the black fog, using a wisp of it to lift the phone and throw it beside Lu Jingyi. "Next time, I'll take your life." Everyone present could distinctly feel his uncontrollable murderous intent. This was not just an empty threat. If there was a next time, he would undoubtedly kill Lu Jingyi. "He's about to kill someone, aren't you going to do something?" Qian Liangjuan's pupils contracted. This evil spirit hadn't yet tainted his hands with blood. If he broke the taboo of murder, the next to die would surely be him. Shen Wang, with his arms crossed, watching the drama unfold, replied in surprise to this remark. "He is he, I am I, we're neither kin nor kindred. Why should I intervene? Besides, he showed restraint, didn't he?" Shen Wang, infuriated by being blatantly lied to, nearly spat blood, while Qian Liangjuan clenched his teeth. With that ghostly energy inside him, Lu Jingyi will be weak and ill for at least a decade, possibly tormented by sickness for the rest of his life. "And you call that restraint?" Shen Wang nodded. "Isn't he still alive? He's the evil ghost you speak of, yet he controlled his instinct to kill and merely taught a small lesson. Don't you think he was very restrained, very well behaved, and deserves praise?" Shen Wang's eyes were filled with big question marks. "This is an evil ghost, what more do you expect?" With a puff, Qian Liangjuan, who had been holding back blood in his chest, spewed it out, splattering at least a meter away. Immediately jumping back as he began to bleed, Shen Wang looked down at his shoes and sighed in relief. "Good thing it didn't get on my shoes. They're expensive, cost me 200. Qian Liangjuan, so angered he saw black spots, was speechless. Jiang Lin, while intently watching Lu Jingyi write his confession, listened to Shen Wang and Qian Liangjuan's conversation. Upon hearing the praises, the pale hue on Jiang Lin's ghostly face seemed to fade slightly, the swirling black resentment around him calmed, obediently hovering near him. Lu Jingyi, unaware of Jiang Lin's good mood, had a racing heartbeat and trembled all over. After encountering a mysterious event and realizing he was haunted by an unknown ghost, he was extremely panicked, only thinking about how to exorcise and capture the ghost. When he actually saw the ghost and knew it was someone he knew, a kind and upright person, Lu Jingyi was still scared, but less afraid, and even started scheming subconsciously. Write less, or omit a few people, Jiang Lin wouldn't know all the bad things he had done. Minimize the impact on his career as much as possible. Just get rid of this ghost, and he was sure to find a more powerful Taoist to exorcise it. As he thought, Jiang Lin, a good person in life, turned out to be an easily fooled ghost after death. Unfortunately, the savior he summoned, Shen Wang, turned out to be the harbinger of his doom. After being harshly taught a lesson, Lu Jingyi finally realized, Jiang Lin was a good man, but he was dead. Now, standing before him was a vengeful evil spirit. Carefully writing down all his past misdeeds without omitting a single detail, and after getting Shen Wang's nod of approval, he posted it from his personal account and then logged into Qingnan Daily's official account to share it. Lu Jingyi watched as his phone began to vibrate uncontrollably the next second, thinking bitterly, it's all over now. As an official account with millions of followers, Qingnan Daily's repost caused a rapid influx of hundreds of comments within seconds. Everyone was shocked upon seeing what was reposted. What is this, a journalist from Qingnan Daily? Isn't Qingnan Daily notorious for chasing hot topics regardless of the truth? Finally, someone has realized this issue. I've seen all the news this journalist reported, falsely accusing a kind-hearted guy of causing an accident, blaming a child's suicide on a teacher's molestation, reporting a sibling quarrel as a couple fighting over dowry. The child suicide one was the most absurd news I followed. Clearly, the teacher was female, yet they insisted a female teacher couldn't molest a child. Even after the story was debunked, the teacher was still fired. Were all these news stories written by him? No wonder they all felt so sensational. How can such a person even be a journalist? My God, it's terrifying. At Qingnan Daily, you used to be a reputable newspaper. I used to buy it every day, but look at what you've become now. The scariest part is he took money to smear others. Not only lacking journalistic ethics but basic human decency as well. He must be arrested, he's too hateful, taking money to smear celebrities and companies. Whatever you pay him for, he smears. No wonder that old domestic brands suddenly had so many scandals. Lu Jingyi had written countless viral news stories. Almost everyone who had been online had seen his reports. Now, they realized they had been tools in Lu Jingyi's manipulation of public opinion. For a moment, everyone who saw the article was filled with immense anger, harshly condemning the unscrupulous journalist. Qingnan Daily quickly noticed something was amiss and deleted the official account's repost, but it was too late. The situation had already escalated, quickly soaring to the top of trending searches. Are you happy now? Shen Wang asked Jiang Lin. By this time, the men and the ghost had already left Lu Jingyi's house, checking the aftermath of the incident online. He's experienced everything I did, of course I'm happy. Jiang Lin cackled, his eyes almost glued to the smartphone screen. Jiang Lin, caught between the levels of a vengeful ghost and a fierce ghost, could only manipulate objects with black fog and couldn't perform delicate actions like using a phone, so he had Shen Wang refresh the feed for him. Shen Wang looked down, casually refreshing with a finger, observing the screen filled with curses. He said nothing, just tirelessly kept refreshing. Lu Jingyi had unscrupulously chased after popularity and traffic, and now, he became the biggest hot topic, experiencing everything he had falsely accused others of. And this was just the beginning. Perhaps because the matter escalated too greatly, in less than half an hour, Qingnan Daily quickly distanced itself from Lu Jingyi, announcing his dismissal. Following this, the State Administration of Press and Publication also issued a statement, revoking Lu Jingyi's press credentials. From then on, Lu Jingyi's cherished career was utterly ruined. In the field of journalism, he became a universally despised pariah. But this still wasn't enough. Only when Jiang Lin saw that the police had arrested Lu Jingyi and initiated an investigation did he finally feel completely satisfied. The comment section was full of praise for the development. Serves him right. Such an unethical journalist deserves to be arrested. Accepting bribes, fabricating facts, it's already a criminal offense. I hope the police give him a good lesson. He has harmed so many people, it's infuriating. Take Shen Wang's recent case, for example, I never expected it was him accepting money to slander. But I'm curious, Shen Wang has no power or money, who would go to such lengths to smear him? Did anyone investigate the background of that Good Samaritan? Has anyone found out who it is? Chapter 27. Shen Wang's situation, from the life-saving video to the backstabbing twist, had been trending several times, attracting a lot of attention. Naturally, Lu Jingyi's confession and repentance included the matter regarding Shen Wang. From initially using anonymous accounts for negative comments, laying the groundwork, to the sudden coordinated exposure causing a sensation, the tactics and skills used to guide public opinion were all laid out clearly. The onlookers then realized that someone had been deliberately tarnishing Shen Wang's reputation, aiming to socially annihilate him, making him vanish from public view. Wasn't it revealed that Shen Wang is a nobody with no background? Why would someone go to such lengths to target him? The only wealthy person Shen Wang had contact with was his adoptive family, right? Could it be that they felt wronged and hired a professional to smear him? Objectively speaking, Shen Wang's action of extorting and threatening the Good Samaritan was indeed despicable, but if it was the Good Samaritan who hired Lu Jingyi to smear him, then maybe they are not as good as they seem. I suspect there's more to this story. Can some expert come and analyze it? Honestly, with Shen Wang's abilities, he really wouldn't need to resort to threats and intimidation. I wonder if he did something for that so-called Good Samaritan's family, got a huge payment, and then they regretted it and sought revenge this way. Why do people call Shen Wang Brother Shen? Is it because of his looks? I don't understand. Brother Shen's live video recording is full of excitement, very thrilling. Click to watch it online, don't miss out as you pass by. It could be that Brother Shen caught hold of some unspeakable leverage over the Good Samaritan's family. But what kind of secret is worth 15 million? It's quite frightening to think about. Netizens were abuzz with discussion, with wild speculations abound, leaving Shen Wang, the person involved, astounded. The incident with Lu Jingyi had become so significant that it led everyone to question the media's news reporting. Once, news required authenticity, timeliness, and accuracy, but now, with the development of the internet, these attributes seem to have been forgotten by practitioners, who only remembered clicks, traffic, and sensationalism. The more eye-catching the news, the better, even if it meant transforming ordinary news into something controversial. Lu Jingyi's incident had become the most sensational, attention-grabbing, and socially impactful news of recent times. Countless media outlets competed to cover it, even the most authoritative official media published articles calling for contemporary media professionals to reflect and clean up the media environment. Jiang Lin was a prime example and a most regrettable victim. It's such a pity for Jiang Lin. How many resources and time does the country spend to train an excellent doctor, and just like that, he's gone. Dr. Jiang was a good person and a true angel in white, candle, candle, candle. It's high time to rectify these unscrupulous media, only seeking to grab attention, wasting a good doctor's life. Rest in peace, Dr. Jiang, candle, candle, candle. Amidst the nationwide mourning and regret, some people even went to the hospital where he had worked to lay flowers, and the hospital officially expressed their condolences and sorrow. Seeing all this, Jiang Lin fell into a long silence. The black resentment swirling around him dissipated, but his expression was far from pleasant. Now that I'm dead, they all start to love me. Not exactly, Shen Wang countered, there are still many who don't like you. For instance, some thought Jiang Lin was too mentally fragile, just a few insults and he chose suicide, not considering his parents, too selfish. Others believed that online abuse was just that, disconnect the internet and it's like nothing ever happened. Committing suicide over such things was too unreasonable. Even some speculated that Jiang Lin sought media attention to become famous, aiming to be a celebrity doctor and elevate his status, but it backfired and he got what he deserved. The world never lacks good people, nor does it lack troublemakers. Shen Wang showed Jiang Lin those provocative comments. Seeing those derogatory comments, Jiang Lin's gaze darkened, the red in his eyes intensifying again after having faded. But after a while, Jiang Lin looked away. I don't want to see them anymore. I want to see my parents. Shen Wang readily agreed and went to the address Jiang Lin provided, arriving at Jiang's family neighborhood. Jiang Lin's parents were both alive, and he had a sister. His life had been happy, with outstanding academic achievements and a successful career as a hospital doctor. All came to an abrupt end. For a long time after Jiang Lin's death, his family couldn't accept the reality and were in deep grief. Just as they were beginning to heal, Jiang Lin became a figure on the internet, constantly refreshing his presence. This time, besides sadness, there was some solace in his vindication. Uncle Jiang, Aunt Tang, out for a walk. Jiang's parents were walking their dog, greeted by neighbors along the way. Jiang's father responded with smiles. Beside them stood a young man with a slender figure. Jiang Lin was surprised. Why is he here? This man was the patient Jiang Lin had once saved. Due to his poor family background, Jiang Lin had recommended a more affordable domestic medicine, which led to Lu Xingyi's interview and subsequent events. Watching him meekly follow his parents, Jiang Lin felt a complex mix of emotions. Resentment surged again, yet it wasn't as intense as before, more a helpless resignation to the whims of fate. He's looking after your parents, Shen Wang explained. Judging by his face, he's been weak since childhood but smart and ambitious. With a stroke of luck, he could transform his destiny. You were that stroke of luck. After you saved him, his health gradually improved, changing his fate from early demise to reaching life's pinnacle. This man had a faint purple aura on his forehead, indicating future wealth and honor. His clear eyes and well-defined features suggested he was grateful and would not only succeed in his career but also enjoy a faithful and loving marriage. Hearing Shen Wang's words, Jiang Lin remained silent. Even he found it odd. As a vengeful ghost filled with resentment, discovering that the cause of his demise would lead a happy life while he wandered as a fierce ghost should have angered him, but it didn't. He just thought calmly, this person was someone I saved from the clutches of death, I changed his fate, saved him. Jiang Lin, for some reason, reminisced about those days and nights of diligent study in school, recalling his oath to become the nation's best cardiologist. When he first chose to study medicine, he hadn't thought about employment or making money, he just wanted to heal and save people. Though already dead and unable to cry, Jiang Lin felt a warmth in his eyes and a sourness at the tip of his nose. Do you want to see them? Shen Wang asked. Not far away, Jiang Lin's sister ran over, supporting their mother on her other side, ignoring the young men and chiding her parents. Dad, Mom, why are you wandering around with a stranger? What if something happens? Jiang's father, cheerful and seemingly unaware of his daughter's disdain for the young men, said, we aren't so old we need company, besides, with Xiaoyang here, what could possibly go wrong? Watching the backs of the four people and their dog, Jiang Lin shook his head, forget it. Now that he had become a fierce ghost, with a terrifying appearance, he didn't want to scare them. See them, Shen Wang urged, looking at Jiang Lin's pupils, which had turned black. You left so suddenly, go and say a proper goodbye to them. After hesitating for a while, Jiang Lin finally agreed. Unlike weaker earthbound spirits like Zhou Xiangbei, Jiang Lin didn't need Shen Wang's help to open the yin-yang eyes and could manifest in front of people, tidying up his resentment and appearance as much as possible. Step by step, he approached his family. Shen Wang followed at a distance, neither too close nor too far. To avoid appearing more frightening at night, Jiang Lin chose to manifest in the daytime, appearing directly in front of his family. From a distance, Shen Wang couldn't hear what they were saying, only seeing them embracing and weeping together, even the dog crying and trying to pounce on Jiang Lin. It was a noisy scene, yet strangely moving, bringing tears to the eyes. After I die, who will grieve for me? Shen Wang wondered blankly. His so-called parents would certainly not mourn him, and his two younger siblings. His brother Li Pingping, in pursuit of the truth behind Shen Wang's death, abandoned his studies to secretly investigate the Tang family, accidentally uncovering something related to metaphysics. But then, Li Pingping was discovered by Tang Jiu and was easily eliminated by a ghost, leaving no trace behind. He died a gruesome death. His smarter sister, Lu Yu, didn't abandon her studies and joined the police force after graduating from the police academy. She used her position to investigate the reasons behind her brother's deaths, but because of her striking beauty, she caught the eye of Tang Jiu. Tang Jiu deceived Lu Yu, claiming her brothers were killed by a ghost. After killing a murderous ghost for her, he successfully won her over. Lu Yu became one of the many in Tang Jiu's harem. Thinking of this, Shen Wang's usually languid eyes sharpened momentarily before relaxing back into indifference. Tang Jiu was a child of fortune, Shen Wang couldn't act against him directly. With a smile, Shen Wang once again suppressed his murderous intent, cursing fate for its absurd choice in selecting someone like Tang Jiu. To distract himself, Shen Wang opened his phone again and casually browsed the trending topics. On the trending list, apart from Shen Wang and Jiang Lin, there were several victims who had been slandered by Lu Xingyi. Clicking into the topics revealed messages of sympathy and apologies for them. Some of the victims generously expressed forgiveness. Others made no comment at all. Some, more hard-nosed, declared that the damage done was irreparable and that they would never forgive those keyboard warriors who had insulted them. But regardless of their stance, they all received a grand apology. Shen Wang pondered if he should also make a statement, so he posted an update. Your dad is here, receiving 15 million is true, taking 50,000 is also true, no funding. Why give me money? I don't know either, maybe you can ask the other party involved, cute, cute, cute. After reading it several times, Shen Wang felt his tone was very soft, pitiful, helpless, and unsure, and he was quite pleased with it. So passive-aggressive, I love it. So what's the hidden story here, that Shen Wang can't speak directly and can only subtly insult people? Clearly a veteran of surfing the net, a level 10 passive-aggressive commenter. Has anyone found out who the other party is yet? I'm really curious now. Just then, a group of people approached Shen Wang, startling him. He almost thought it was Tang Jiu making a move on him, but when he looked up, he saw it was Jiang Lin and his family, having finished their conversation, walking towards him. Shen Wang exchanged baffled glances with the Jiang family, including a snow-white Samoyed happily circling around him, tongue lolling out. Master Shen, Jiang's mother dabbed her eyes, thank you for clearing our Xiaolin's name, thank you. Shen Wang couldn't resist and petted the fluffy dog's head, no need to thank me, I was just doing a job for pay. Huh. Jiang Lin was also puzzled, when had he paid? Lu Xingyi gave me 3 million, Shen Wang said with a smile. His goal was to exorcise a ghost, and now he had indeed taken the ghost away. The mission was perfectly accomplished. After hearing Shen Wang's explanation, the Jiang family was both amused and still wanted to express their gratitude. Shen Wang cut them off, no need for thanks, it's just that Jiang Lin's time to leave has come. By now, Jiang Lin's aura of resentment had almost dissipated, and his appearance had returned to that of a normal person, though his complexion remained very pale. Jiang Lin had a premonition that Lu Jingyi would face legal punishment, enduring a lifetime of scorn and poverty. Those who had insulted him had apologized. It was time for him to depart. Looking around, Jiang Lin saw his loving family, the patient he had saved. His life might have been brief, but he had healed countless patients while alive and punished a wrongdoer after death. There were regrets, but not too many. A faint white light enveloped him, and just before dissipating, a wisp of black resentment entered Shen Wang's phone. Shen Wang was startled. This is my only phone, don't break it. This wisp of resentment is for those keyboard warriors on the internet. Through your phone, it will enter the web to seek out those who insulted me. Jiang Lin smiled, now resembling a gentle and kind but principled angel in white, radiating a white holy light. His last obsession and karma had been resolved. In the last second before Jiang Lin vanished, the Jiang family cried uncontrollably, and the patient he had saved also had red eyes. Shen Wang suddenly spoke. He's not only destined for great success but also a grateful person. In his life, he will have only one wife and treat her parents with the utmost respect, as if they were his own. While the others were confused, not understanding his words, Jiang Lin smiled softly, finally at peace. Jiang Lin departed. In his life, he saved many people and didn't accrue negative karma after death. His next life will start smoothly, Shen Wang added. Maybe he'll be reborn into a wealthy family, or maybe into an ordinary family with harmonious parents. Either way, it's a perfect beginning. But the beginning is just that, the rest of his fate will depend on his own choices. Zhang's father supported his weeping wife, while the young man helped the teary-eyed Zhang's sister. Shen Wang glanced at them and smiled faintly. Before leaving, he gave each of them an amulet for peace, to dispel the unintentional negative energy they had absorbed. Meanwhile, online, with the exposure of the Tang family's identity, netizens were again stirred up. Isn't the Tang family famously charitable in City C? It's normal for them to sponsor others. Charity, huh? There's a lot more to charity than meets the eye. Whether it's genuine or not is still up for debate. No need for the so-called spiritual capitalists to rush to clear their names. Hasn't anyone noticed? Tang Jiu, the young master of the Tang family, is a student at City C University. Shen Wang's initial life-saving act also happened at City C University. I have a friend at City C University, and he says Tang Jiu seems to excel academically, winning many awards. But apparently, he's been scarce at the university since his sophomore year. I wonder how he got all those awards. Speaking of which, I also have a friend from City C University. She was one of Tang Jiu's ex-girlfriends. This Tang Jiu, well, he has countless exes. The worst part is, he dates several girls simultaneously as if it's normal. When caught, he shamelessly says things like, if you really love me, you should get along with my other girlfriends. Does he think he's an emperor or something, preaching about peaceful coexistence? Gross. Really? In this day and age, there are still such idiots. If this is the kind of upbringing the Tang family provides, it's hard not to doubt whether they are as good as they appear to be. What secret does Shen Wang hold over the Tang family? Where are the Tang family's internet trolls? Come on, insult Shen Wang until he spills the beans. I'm so curious. At Tang Jiu, the young master, make a peep, will you? After all, as a young person, it's more fun to fight online, right? Don't tag Tang Jiu. After all, he's the little master of the Tang family. At Tang Jiu, hey. Tagging him like this, what if he uses his wealth to crush us? Right, young master Tang. At Tang Jiu. Faced with these comments, Tang Jiu was so furious that he had already smashed several cell phones. Chapter 28. Tang Jiu never imagined the pain to smear Shen Wang would backfire, turning him into the target of public outrage. Netizens always have the sharpest tongues. It was satisfying when they were criticizing Shen Wang, but not so much when the tables turned on him. He could do nothing but watch, at most anonymously firing back. If he were to confront them personally, that would be sheer folly. Tang Jiu took a deep breath and stopped reading the scathing comments. Tang Jiu. Tang's father stormed over, slapping him across the face. What have you done? Tang's father rarely used his phone, but the issue had escalated so much that his subordinates discreetly informed him, leading him to discover the uncontrollable online storm. By the time he became aware, it had already caused a commotion throughout the city. You've really brought fame to our family, haven't you? Tang's father was so angry he was breathing heavily, terrified to even think about how partners and rivals in business might be mocking him. The slap from Tang's father was more humiliating than painful. Tang Jiu, wiping the blood from his lip with the back of his hand, apologized, head bowed, I'm sorry, Dad. I had no idea Lu Jingyi would cause such a big problem. Enough. Tang's father interrupted his confession, his gaze stern, I'm not here to listen to your excuses. You have 3 days to suppress this matter. After a long silence, Tang Jiu nodded grimly, I'll find a solution as soon as possible. Having vented his anger, Tang's father looked at Tang Jiu, his son in whom he had placed great hopes. Sighing deeply, he softened his tone, trying to be as calm as possible, suppress the news, and tell your girlfriends to keep quiet too. The Tang family has lost enough face already. After giving several more instructions, Tang's father finally left. Left alone, Tang Jiu touched his still numb cheek, his expression darkening, the shame of today, I will return 100-fold in the future. Though he had vowed to quickly quell the online controversy, with Shen Wang's case being tied to Lu Jingyi, and Lu now being used as a negative example prominently featured in official media, calming the storm was easier said than done. Even with all of the Tang family's resources, it was impossible to contend with the state, let alone for Tang Jiu alone. In his troubled state of mind, Tang Jiu simply went outside, aimlessly wandering around the community garden. To the former him, Shen Wang was just a small pebble on the roadside, easily kicked away, never considered a threat. He hadn't expected that this pebble would be more troublesome than imagined. Like a grain of sand in a shoe, seemingly insignificant, yet its presence is remarkably felt. Have you heard about the Tang family scandal? You mean the one about Tang Jiu and Shen Wang, right? I've heard it. Surprising, isn't it? The Tang family appears harmonious in public, but behind closed doors, it's a different story. Tang Jiu's face darkened instantly upon overhearing others discussing it. Even though the Tang family had become the talk of the internet, who would dare discuss such things in front of a member of the Tang family? Tang Jiu's first reaction was to teach those gossiping rich kids a lesson. Did the Tang family really give Shen Wang 15 million? That's no small sum. It's not much for the Tang family, the wealthiest in City C. They can afford it, but why did they give in so easily? 15 million isn't much, but fixed assets and liquid assets are different matters. 15 million in liquid funds could save a small or medium-sized company from bankruptcy. I heard Shen Wang is the Tang family's illegitimate child, that's why they paid up so readily. Illegitimate children, they're the worst. Looks like Shen Wang is no saint either. Just dogs biting dogs, let's just enjoy the drama. In this affluent neighborhood, the residents despised illegitimate children. A group of wealthy kids gathered, their conversation shifting from gossip to angrily criticizing illegitimate children. Tang Jiu, who was about to teach them a lesson, stopped in his tracks, lost in thought. As online discussions intensified, not only were the identities of the Tang family and Tang Jiu exposed, but also the relationship between Shen Wang and the Tang family gradually came to light. Shen Wang is actually the Tang family's illegitimate child. Turns out it's a family matter, this is not an interesting gossip piece. No wonder they were so generous, giving 15 million just like that. It's all within the family, money just moving from one hand to the other, keeping wealth within the family. Is this the legendary family feud of the rich and famous? I'm completely lost, can someone please explain this drama? It's simple when you put all the information together. Shen Wang is the illegitimate child of the Tang family. Unable to inherit the family fortune, the Tang family gave him 15 million, either out of guilt or to send him away. After getting the money, Shen Wang tried to enter the entertainment industry using his looks, even bought a trending topic. But Mrs. Tang and Tang Jiu couldn't stand it and had him smeared. In short, it's just a story of fighting against an illegitimate child. So that's how it is. Then it's understandable why Shen Wang was smeared. After all, he is an illegitimate child. Watching the netizens gradually lean towards Tang Jiu's side, Shen Wang's loyal followers couldn't sit still and started reporting to Shen Wang one after another. Meanwhile, Shen Wang was busy signing a contract to buy a house. Although Lu Jingyi was in jail, Shen Wang had genuinely exorcised the ghost for him, saving his life. Having completed the commission, the 3 million Lu Jingyi promised couldn't be delayed. Faced with Shen Wang's mysterious abilities, Lu Jingyi didn't dare delay payment, quickly arranging for his family to transfer the money to Shen Wang's account, while he stayed in jail for investigation. During this time, Lu Jingyi's health worsened day by day, always feeling uncomfortable but with no diagnosis, tossing and turning in agony, unable to sleep. Unbeknownst to him, his health would continue to deteriorate. He couldn't die but would be tormented. The latter half of his life, plagued by illness, was Jiang Lin's punishment for him. Suddenly wealthy, Shen Wang got carried away and shifted his house hunting from small apartments to detached villas. After casually viewing a few, Shen Wang initially intended to rent a villa, but upon hearing the selling price of this particular one, he decided to buy it on the spot. A standalone villa that originally sold for several million was now only 800,000. Such a stroke of luck, finding such a bargain, was not an everyday occurrence. What else could Shen Wang do but catch this giant pie falling from the sky? He could only accept this gift from nature. After signing the contract, Shen Wang looked around, satisfied with his new home. It was a small two-story standalone villa, somewhat aged from the outside due to its simple decoration and inconvenient location, as explained by the owner, hence the low price. In reality, convenience of location in a villa area is hardly an issue. With a car, no place is inaccessible as long as there are roads. The interior wasn't the ostentatious style that tycoons might prefer but leaned towards a simple and elegant style, very comfortable to look at, with all furniture included. What pleased Shen Wang the most was the villa's own small garden, suitable not just for planting flowers and grass, but also for growing vegetables. And the price was so affordable. Seeing Shen Wang's face light up with the thrill of a good deal, the villa owner hesitated before speaking up. Mr. Shen, it's best if you don't use the bathroom at midnight. Shen Wang gave him a look. The villa owner himself realized how odd his words sounded and cleared his throat. I mean, getting up at night is not good for your health. Looking at the innocent and naive Shen Wang, unaware of what the future might hold, the villa owner felt a twinge of conscience. Shen Wang patted the owner's shoulder earnestly. I know you're attached to this house. Don't worry, I'll take good care of it. The villa owner had a conflicted expression. That's not what I meant. But some things are unbelievable when spoken aloud, so he could only awkwardly respond with a forced smile. Well, that's good then. After completing the property transfer, the villa owner drove Shen Wang back. Passing a hospital, he slowed the car and pointed out, Mr. Shen, this is a hospital, and if you keep going straight, you'll reach the villa. It's very close. Shen Wang was still reveling in the joy of buying a villa, absent-mindedly nodding, holding the property deed and looking at it from different angles to take photos. Only when getting out of the car, did Shen Wang suddenly reach out to pat the villa owner's shoulder, sincerely expressing his gratitude. Thank you. Watching Shen Wang's retreating figure entering the villa owner suppressed his conscience, took a deep breath, and muttered to himself, that thing doesn't harm people, it just scares them. If you're brave enough, you'll be fine. He planned to keep an eye on Shen Wang's situation in the future, ready to help within his capabilities. Feeling guilty, he turned the car around. Every time he had visited this villa, leaving always felt burdensome, like wearing a soaking wet down jacket. But this time, he felt light and comfortable. He didn't think much of it, assuming his relief and lightness came from getting rid of a major hassle, and drove off cheerfully. The first thing Shen Wang did upon returning to the villa was to post on his social circle. He took 9 photos of the property deed, arranging them in a grid to post. Comments quickly came in. Shen, did your hand shake? Why tap the same photo 9 times? Shen Wang clicked his tongue in annoyance and replied with a curt scram. At that moment, Li Pingping called frantically. As soon as Shen Wang answered, he was bombarded with questions. Bro, what's going on with you? The internet is buzzing. Where did you disappear to? What's with the property deed? Where did you get the money to buy a house? Shen Wang walked around the villa with his phone, discovering that not only was it fully furnished, but it even had a study and a gaming room. The gaming room had 5 neatly arranged computers, their keyboards and screens covered in dust. Shen Wang casually pulled out a gaming chair, sat down, and booted up a computer. Are you even listening to me? Li Pingping, who had been talking to himself for a while, exploded, shouting loudly. Yeah, I'm listening, Shen Wang replied nonchalantly. It's just the stuff online, right? I'll handle it. Li Pingping sounded skeptical. Really? Why would I lie to you? Shen Wang logged into his social media account and said, I bought a villa, do you want to come and see it? There was silence on the other end of the phone for a few seconds. Sensing something, Shen Wang moved the phone away from his ear and placed it on the table without switching to speakerphone. Soon, Li Pingping's scream came through the phone, a villa. Why are you screaming like a banshee? Shen Wang complained, thankful he had been prepared, or else his eardrums would have been in danger. While dealing with Li Pingping, Shen Wang checked the online sentiment and laughed. Tang Jiu miscalculated this time. Li Pingping, who had been inquiring about the situation, paused, then remembered the reason for his call. There are a lot of people online criticizing you, saying you're an illegitimate child trying to grab the family fortune, shameless and such. Although Shen Wang indeed had no shame, it was unfair to smear him with falsehoods. Li Pingping was indignant. Let them curse, Shen Wang said carelessly, the more intense, the better. Li Pingping. Shen Wang sighed and began explaining to his naive brother, the Tang couple cares about their reputation. They must have ordered Tang Jiu to handle this situation properly. But Tang Jiu's solution was to label me as an illegitimate child, making outsiders think we're equally guilty. That way, he could extricate himself from public scrutiny. However, what the couple intended was to dissociate the Tang family from the scandal, not just Tang Jiu alone. Whether it's cursing Tang Jiu or the illegitimate child, it still reflects badly on the Tang family, tarnishing their reputation. Don't worry, it won't be long before the Tang family steps in. After hearing all this, Li Pingping was a bit confused and said blankly, Shen, you weren't involved in palace intrigue in a past life, were you? Shen Wang laughed and scolded, watch how you talk to your brother. With Shen Wang's explanation, Li Pingping finally relaxed, no longer overly worried. Instead, he eagerly stirred the pot online, furiously denouncing the Tang family. Just as Shen Wang predicted, it wasn't long before he received a phone call. On the other end was the cold voice of Tang's mother, do you think you can re-enter the Tang family with such despicable tactics? Wishful thinking. Shen Wang chuckled, ever heard the old saying, one man's honey is another man's garbage? Your rotting, stinking trash heap is only a treasure to flies. Don't insult my character and taste. You're calling me a fly. Tang's mother, initially calling to warn Shen Wang, ended up being scolded herself and trembled with anger, you ungrateful wretch. There was a pause on Shen Wang's end. When he spoke again, his voice was notably softer, no matter what, I'm still your biological child. Shut up. Tang's mother, infuriated, her head buzzing, exclaimed, if I knew I'd give birth to something like you, I would have strangled you at birth. Shen Wang was silent for a long time, seemingly hurt by Tang's mother's words. Tang's mother felt triumphant, for the first time gaining the upper hand in her confrontations with Shen Wang since his appearance had disrupted her life. Her words became even more venomous, Jiu is our child, and you are nothing compared to him. Even if he were an ordinary person, you couldn't hold a candle to him. Do you know that Tang Jiu has many girlfriends, and even cheats with several at the same time? After a long silence, Shen Wang asked quietly. It sounds somewhat pitiable. So what? He's handsome and comes from a notable family. Gold diggers naturally flock to him. It's their honor to be with Jiu, Tang's mother said without a second thought. Does Mr. Tang know about this? Shen Wang asked. Are you planning to tattle? Tang's mother scoffed, Jiu is our child, and you are nothing but a discarded offspring of the Tang family. After berating Shen Wang and venting her anger, Tang's mother remembered her main purpose, commanding from a position of authority, the mess on the internet is disgraceful. Go apologize and resolve this issue. Why should I apologize when I haven't done anything wrong? Tang's mother sneered, you took 1.5 million and promised to keep silent about being the true heir of the Tang family. If you get greedy and let this situation escalate, we have plenty of ways to deal with you. Shen Wang sighed lightly, I am your biological child. Tang Jiu is just a mistakenly adopted fake young master. Why can't you even take a look at me? You think you're worthy? Tang's mother laughed scornfully. For the Tang family, the gap between ordinary people and cultivators was insurmountable. Even a biological son, if unable to cultivate, lost the right to bear the Tang name. Shen Wang ended the call. Tang's mother didn't take it to heart. Her call was also a warning to Shen Wang, reminding him not to act recklessly just because he had left the Tang family, they had ways to deal with him. Soon enough, Shen Wang indeed posted a status update, starting with an apology. Tang's mother was delighted, he really apologized. Such a hopeless street thug indeed needs to be disciplined to obey. With a sigh of satisfaction, Tang's mother scrolled down to read the rest of Shen Wang's status. Your daddy is here, I'm very sorry. After holding back for so long, I finally decided to reveal the truth about myself, Tang Jiu, and the Tang family. In this post, Shen Wang deviated from his usual bold and brash style, appearing instead like a pitiful, forlorn little cabbage. Instead of explicitly stating his relationship with the Tang family, he shared a recording and several photos. The photos were of donation certificates. He had donated millions to various welfare homes in different cities and also contributed millions to improve school facilities and meal quality in some rural counties. Each of these donation certificates bore the names of the Tang couple. If the photos were shocking, the recording was outrageously infuriating. Tang's mother's coldness and malice were chilling, especially given her status, sending shivers down one's spine. This twist in the tale is unbelievable, who would have thought the truth would be like this? So Shen Wang is the Tang family's biological child, and Tang Jiu is just a mistakenly adopted imposter, but the Tang couple only wants Tang Jiu and not their own child. That explains the 1.5 million, it was to get rid of their own child. Looking back at Shen Wang's messages now, it's also lamentable. Right, before it didn't make sense, but now seeing he's from an orphanage, grew up to be a street thug, and finally returned home only to be despised by his biological parents. While the fake young master was pampered. If I were him, I'd definitely feel aggrieved too. Not just aggrieved, I'd be psychologically disturbed. Didn't the Tang family often engage in charity? How can they be so cruel to their own child? Disgusting, not all parents deserve to be parents. The Tang couple is inhuman. Shen Wang's case has seen countless twists and turns, with reversals upon reversals, culminating in this shocking revelation. The entire internet was stunned. At this moment, under the ironclad recording of Tang's mother, all mysteries were unveiled, revealing a truth more cruel than anyone could have imagined. Damn, the Tang family is disgusting. I'm not buying anything from the Tang family again, never thought they could be such people. The fake young master is scum, his mom is vile, and his dad is no better, a family of rotten people. Are all rich people so ruthless? They could have raised both children, but chose to drive one out of the house. In contrast, countless people sympathized with Shen Wang, offering him words of comfort. Sympathy for Shen Wang quickly soared to the top of the trending topics. After several rounds of discussions, almost everyone recognized Shen Wang. Whether they felt good or bad about him, they instinctively clicked to see more. Upon entering the topic, many left indignant comments filled with righteous anger. The Tang family, always concerned about their reputation, had truly become infamous this time. Tang's mother, who had been planning a leisurely outing with her high society friends for shopping and spa treatments, had secretly warned Shen Wang away from her husband at the office and Tang Jiu at home. She never expected Shen Wang to have recorded their conversation. No wonder his tone and style were different today. Tang's mother realized this too late, and by then, it was already irrevocable. A fellow high society lady glanced at Tang's mother with a strange expression, pulling another lady close and gesturing towards her phone. Then, the way everyone else looked at Tang's mother changed. How could this be? I can't believe she's such a person. My goodness. That's so pitiful. Even with her voice deliberately lowered, Tang's mother still caught snippets of conversations carried by the wind to her ears. She felt they were discussing her, clutching her handbag tightly to maintain her composure and dignity. Excuse me, I have something urgent at home and must leave now. You all enjoy yourselves, Tang's mother said dryly, as usual. Among these elite women, there was always competition, jewelry, handbags, children, anything. Their relationships weren't as harmonious as they appeared. Tang's mother had only walked a few steps when the voices behind her suddenly grew louder. To be so cruel to her own son, what a heartless mother. If she can be so heartless to her child, imagine how she'd treat us. We'd better keep our distance from her. That's terrifying. Tang's mother, fleeing in a panic, barely stepped out of the mall when she heard a child's voice, old witch. It's the old witch. Even a child dares to insult her. Tang's mother turned sharply, only to see a child talking to a cartoon witch on a poster at the mall's entrance. Feeling like a taut string suddenly loosened, Tang's mother breathed a sigh of relief, yet also felt pathetic. She had become so paranoid. Not daring to linger, she hurried home. The Tang residence. Tang Jiu had been closely monitoring the situation online and quickly sensed something amiss this time. After hearing the recording, his mind buzzed. It's over. The falsehoods they desperately tried to bury were now exposed, revealing an unsightly truth. This time, Tang Jiu didn't smash his phone. His face pale, he looked ahead in a daze, feeling as if the servants were whispering about him. When he turned around, he found no one there. After staring blankly for a few minutes, he immediately started looking for ways to suppress the uproar online, but it was too late. The story had taken several turns already, igniting the netizens' curiosity. Now, not just on one social media platform, but on almost all of them, this news topped the charts. Questions were even raised on Jihu. How do you view the Shen Wang incident? If you were Shen Wang, how would you handle the real and fake young master situation to come out unscathed and maximize benefits? The answers under these questions kept increasing. Laxative advice: if I were Shen Wang, I'd take the 1.5 million and cut ties with the Tang family. Tang Jiu's eyes reddened as he neurotically scrolled through the comments, his frustration building, unable to spit it out or swallow it. The doorbell rang, pulling Tang Jiu back from his thoughts. Unsure who was at the door, Tang Jiu managed a stiff smile. As soon as he opened the door, a slap met his face. Dazed and distracted, Tang Jiu didn't even see it coming and took the slap squarely. Outside stood a stunning young woman, shaking her numb hand, coldly saying, "Idiot, that slap was for what you owed me. I came here specifically to tell you, you idiot, that you've been dumped by me. You think your Tang family is something special? You cheat with multiple women, and your mother calls me a gold digger. Your whole family are stupid jerks." After saying this, she turned and walked away. Behind her stood several young women of different styles, all distinct in dress and demeanor but uniformly striking in appearance. Another slap resounded sharply. A short-haired woman spat vehemently, "Jerk! You don't even deserve to have a girlfriend." Another crisp slap followed. A bespectacled, gentle-looking girl, eyes red, said nothing but gave Tang Jiu a hateful stare. Tang Jiu, with his decent family background and not too bad looks, coupled with sweet talk, never had to work hard to find a girlfriend. He was picky too, disliking vulgar gold diggers, preferring girls who were serious about relationships. He had been caught cheating before, but never as dramatically as this. Not only his official girlfriend showed up, but also 2 women he was flirtatiously ambiguous with. Caught off guard, Tang Jiu took several slaps before he could react, and by then, each girl had spat at him and left together. What a loser, damn. As they turned away, the group of girls noticed a man, becoming even angrier. Damn, there's even a guy involved. He must be sick, I need to get a health check. I also want to. Liang, who accidentally wandered into this chaotic scene. With a complex expression, he walked up to Tang Jiu and called out, "Brother Jiu." The current state of Tang Jiu was a far cry from his usual calm and confident demeanor. His cheeks bore clear red marks, and his eyes showed a mix of confusion and madness, exuding an aura of defeat and impotent rage. "What are you doing here?" Tang Jiu asked irritably upon seeing Liang. Liang had always been Tang Jiu's lackey since childhood, not very smart but obedient, coming from a decent family. Although Tang Jiu despised him for being an ordinary person, he still interacted with him in a lukewarm manner. Now, having his lackey witness his disgrace, Tang Jiu felt a mix of shock and anger. Shen Wang is not an illegitimate child, he is the real son of the Tang family, Liang slowly said. Knowing he wasn't very bright, you had chosen to follow Tang Jiu and obey him. Before, Tang Jiu had told him that Shen Wang was a ruthless illegitimate child, so he always targeted Shen Wang and even confronted him at Sea City University. Shen Wang had a message for Tang Jiu. What's fake will never be real, the fake will always remain fake. At that time, he didn't understand why Tang Jiu looked so upset when he relayed this message. Looking back now, he understood its meaning. Hearing Yu Xiaoyang's words, Tang Jiu glared at him piercingly. What do you mean? Are you here to mock me too? Faced with Tang Jiu's scrutinizing and questioning gaze, Yu Xiaoyang even had the illusion that he might be killed. A chill ran up his spine, and without daring to ponder further, Yu Xiaoyang swallowed his sentiments and advice, and left. After walking some distance, he looked back at the Tang family house, his gaze lost and bewildered. The person he had admired for so long, how could he turn out to be such a scoundrel, manipulating emotions and usurping others' places? Perhaps the term unscrupulous was more fitting for himself. Shaking his head, Yu Xiaoyang also left, and this time, he didn't look back. Unaware of the turmoil, Tang's father was at the company, raging over a document. Why hasn't this contract been signed? Who is responsible for this project? A subordinate stood up, trembling, and said softly, Mr. Tang, I tried my best, but... Tang's father, with a stern face, interjected, but what? Don't make excuses for failure. Failure is failure. It's just that the CEO of that company is the father of Tang Jr.'s girlfriend. After seeing the news, they immediately rejected our company, the subordinate retorted, annoyed at being unjustly scolded. His gaze towards Tang's father carried discontent, failing to control his own son, impacting business deals, yet having the audacity to scold me. Tang's father was at a loss for words. At that moment, another employee timidly raised a hand, braving Tang's father's wrath. Mr. Tang, the company whose contract expired and wasn't renewed has decided to not continue the agreement. One after another, several calls came in, many reporting lost contracts. Tang's father, shocked and angered, what's going on? Is a competitor targeting us? In just those few minutes, the total value of the contracts the Tang family lost amounted to several tens of millions. The subordinates remained silent in the deathly quiet room when suddenly someone burst through the meeting room door, panting, Mr. Tang, our stock price has been continuously falling. The internet is filled with criticism against you, too overwhelming for PR to handle. Should we issue a statement or send a legal notice? What internet? Tang's father had an ominous premonition. He took out his phone and glanced at it. In an instant, it felt as if all the blood in his body was rushing to his head. Tang's father gasped for air, a harsh sound emanating from his throat, then suddenly his vision went dark, and he collapsed backward. Mr. Tang. Mr. Tang. Shen Wang was also reading the online comments, but unlike the Tang family members nearly driven to rage, he was smiling broadly, unable to contain his amusement. Beside him, Li Pingping, Wang Kai, and Su Qing sat in front of the computer, overwhelmed with joy. Shen Gu, these are top-tier computers. Did the previous homeowner really leave them for you? This feel, this speed, it's incredible, way better than internet cafes. Shen Gu, we should come here to surf the net from now on. Li Pingping didn't immediately start gaming like the others. Instead, he logged onto a social media site and joined in the online bashing of the Tang family, furiously typing away as a keyboard warrior. He then asked, bro, did you anticipate this day coming, that's why you donated the money? Li Pingping didn't object when he first learned that Shen Wang planned to donate the 1.5 million. Though puzzled, he felt it wasn't his place to intervene since it wasn't his money. He merely lacked the right to object. Watching people online relentlessly criticizing Shen Wang over the 1.5 million, he didn't understand why Shen Wang didn't clarify that he hadn't spent a cent of it, having donated it all. Now, with the truth about the real and fake young masters revealed, the Tang family was being universally condemned, while Shen Wang, having donated the 1.5 million, was virtually on a moral high ground. Unstoppable. Anyone trying to argue that the Tang family at least gave him 1.5 million would be countered with, he donated all of that money. Guess. Shen Wang replied mysteriously, with a meaningful look. Shen Gu is awesome. As expected of Shen Gu. He saw it coming. The Tang family was digging their own grave trying to deal with you. The three followers immediately started cheering, like fervent devotees. Shen Wang's mouth twitched as he tossed his phone aside. Li Pingping mused to himself, of all people to offend, they had to mess with our Shen Gu. Tit for tat, narrow-mindedness, a vengeful nature, a gentleman's revenge, from dawn to dusk, that's all a true representation of Shen Wang. If the Tang family had peacefully parted ways with Shen Wang, he wouldn't have done anything. But they chose to provoke him. Li Pingping thought about it and concluded that a tenfold retaliation was actually letting them off easy. Li Pingping even suspected that Shen Wang might have other ways to settle the matter. But he chose not to. Instead, he escalated the situation dramatically, only to turn the cyberbullying initiated by the Tang family back against them. Li Pingping. Damn, the more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. At this point, Li Pingping swore for the umpteenth time never to provoke Shen Gu. Just can't afford to provoke him. Shen Gu, the air conditioning is set a bit too low. Where's the remote? I'll turn it up, Wang Kai, oblivious to Li Pingping's internal monologue, called out casually. Shen Wang glanced up and said, the air conditioner here is voice controlled. So high-tech, exclaimed Wang Kai, eager to try. Air conditioner, increase the temperature. Hello, air conditioner, increase the temperature. Could you please increase the temperature? After shouting aimlessly for a while, the temperature didn't change at all, in fact, it got even colder. The other two were laughing so hard they were falling over, and Wang Kai, rubbing his arms and looking confused at Shen Wang, asked, Shen Gu, you're not playing a prank on me, are you? You're calling it out the wrong way, Shen Wang said seriously. Wang Kai, huh? Shen Wang continued, just say, raise the temperature, or I'll annihilate you, scatter your soul and spirit. While speaking, Shen Wang looked steadily in a certain direction, with a half-smile on his face. I knew you were playing me. There's no such voice control. Before Wang Kai could finish his sentence, he stopped for a few seconds, then exclaimed, wait, there really is such a voice-controlled air conditioner. And it works so instantly. What brand is it? I want one too. Shen Wang didn't respond. Li Pingping and Su Qing were already huddled together, shivering in fear. Damn, how can Wang Kai be so oblivious to this chillingly familiar sensation? In another corner, a little ghost was also hugging itself and shivering against the wall. Help, this guy is terrifying. So scary, it even frightens ghosts. Wah QAQ. Chapter 29. The reason this small villa was only a few 100,000 and had been on the market for so long was not without cause. The moment Shen Wang stepped into the place, he sensed the presence of Yin energy. But this Yin energy was strange, very pure, unlike other ghosts whose Yin energy is always mixed with negative emotions like resentment, anger, and hatred. Seeing the little ghost, Shen Wang understood. The little ghost was a genuine one, not only weak in power but also appeared to be around 7 or 8 years old, with delicate features and a round face. He looked no different from a normal human child, except for his paler skin, which made him even more adorable. His eyes were wide with terror as he stared at Shen Wang, tears almost spilling out. Even the coldest-hearted person would feel a pang of sympathy upon seeing him, except for Shen Wang. Come here, Shen Wang commanded. The little ghost glanced around hesitantly, then, under Shen Wang's gaze, cautiously moved to the side, only giving up when he realized Shen Wang's eyes were following him. Although he could have floated over in an instant, the little ghost chose to walk step by step, hesitantly, like a child afraid to enter his home after a mistake. What's your name? How did you die? Shen Wang asked, watching the little ghost's timid movements. The little ghost stood timidly in front of Shen Wang, his eyes clear and bright. I forgot. Shen Wang raised an eyebrow. The little ghost burst into tears. I really forgot, I'm not lying to you. Li Pingping and the others, whose yin-yang eyes Shen Wang had opened, exchanged looks, their expressions complex. They were initially frightened at the thought of a ghost being present but felt less scared knowing Shen Wang, the powerhouse, was with them. Now, seeing the little ghost crying, they felt not fear, but pity for the ghost. Bro, be nice when you talk, don't be so harsh. Li Pingping, the soft-hearted one, spoke up for the little ghost first. The other two quickly nodded in agreement. All adults in their 20s, they were bullying a child, well, a ghost child, and they even made him cry. It was shameful. A pang of guilt tingled in the hearts of the grown men. Shen Wang glanced at them. Should I leave then? They immediately reassured their consciences, feeling no pain anymore. No, Shen, there is a distinct boundary between humans and ghosts, you know, different kinds, different minds. It was a joke, after all. No matter how pitiful the ghost looked, it was still a ghost. If it weren't for Shen Wang's presence, they would have fled long ago. It might look harmless now, but who knows if it could turn into another Toshio Siki. Remembering Toshio Siki's eerie demeanor, Li Pingping and the others instinctively shivered and huddled closer to Shen Wang. The little ghost noticed their movements and stopped his loud wailing, turning to quiet sobs. Shen Wang wasn't fooled by this act and changed his question. How long have you been living here? The little ghost thought for a moment, then answered with intermittent sobs, I forgot. He genuinely had forgotten everything. Shen Wang observed him thoughtfully. This little ghost's aura was so pure it didn't seem ghostly. Usually, people turn into ghosts due to lingering attachments and regrets from their lives, and these dissipate before they enter the cycle of reincarnation. Regardless of their consciousness or memory, at the moment of becoming a ghost, their aura would be tinged with the resentment and regret from their life. This little ghost showed no negative emotions in its aura, suggesting no attachments or regrets. Logically, it should have entered the cycle of reincarnation. This situation, more than a ghost, seemed akin to a spirit. What have you done to the people in this house? Shen Wang asked again. Li Pingping and the others perked up their ears. The little ghost glanced at them with little confidence and said, I didn't do much. I was just playing with them. With no memory and invisible to people, the little ghost was very lonely, so he found ways to play with the occupants of the house. He couldn't do much, only trap them in the corridor for hide and seek, turned off their lights when they went to the bathroom at night, made the toilet water turn red, and knocked on their doors unexpectedly, that's all. Li Pingping and the others were stunned. No wonder the villa's price was so heavily reduced. Let alone bizarre supernatural events, even if it were a living person doing this every night, they would be driven to nervous breakdowns. They had so much fun playing. The little ghost said proudly, puffing out his chest, they screamed really loud. It didn't sound like a fun experience at all. There are bratty kids among the living, and apparently, bratty little ghosts among the dead. Li Pingping and the others were enlightened and deeply moved, but while bratty kids could be disciplined, a bratty little ghost could only be dealt with by Shen Wang. Shen Wang also didn't expect that the seemingly innocent and fair little ghost would be so adept at scaring people. Fortunately, the little ghost was not malicious and hadn't harmed anyone. After pondering for a few seconds and stroking his chin, Shen Wang declared, from now on, you'll be my air conditioner. Little ghost. His mouth turned down, on the verge of crying again. If you don't want to be the air conditioner, then I'll scatter your soul to the winds. The little ghost hiccuped, suppressing its cries and nodded its head, looking utterly wronged. Air conditioning. Well, air conditioning it is. At least it won't lead to soul dispersion. The little ghost comforted itself, its tiny face wrinkling into a bundle. As gruff as he was, Shen Wang was truly endearing. Upon hearing his words, Li Pingping and others knew the little ghost was harmless and immediately crowded around in excitement. So young and already gone, how pitiful. Such a round, cute little face. Come on, call me brother and let's hear it. Surrounded by 3 living people, the little ghost trembled in fear, curling up into a ball. It never imagined, after playing with others, that it would end up as a plaything itself. This thought made it feel even more wronged. At that moment, the most terrifying Demon King spoke again, if you're going to be an air conditioner, act like one. The little ghost peeked at the Demon King through its fingers. From now on, you'll learn from the other air conditioners. You must adjust to whatever temperature is asked of you with precise control. The little ghost. Unable to bear this humiliation, the little ghost let out a cry and floated towards the door. The living people left in the room looked at each other before bursting into laughter. Ha ha ha. Brother Shen, how could you scare him like that? You scared him away. Wang Kai laughed so hard he hit the floor. Of everyone there, Shen Wang laughed the loudest, such a coward, yet daring to scare others. It's only fair he gets a taste of his own medicine. Li Pingping, wiping tears of laughter, asked Shen Wang, what's his story? Are you going to take him as your little brother? Only Shen Wang would think of keeping a little ghost as a minion. It's his destiny, Shen Wang replied. Being young, he's unburdened by worldly concerns. An accident turned him into a spirit. If he follows the right path, becoming a ghost cultivator isn't out of the question. A ghost with such pure energy could advance quickly in cultivation. But being a spirit also made it easy to stray and become a malevolent ghost, causing harm. And there were some ruthless cultivators who would capture such talented spirits for use in their nefarious practices. Since we've crossed paths, it's fate. Offering him shelter for a while wouldn't hurt. Li Pingping nodded in semi-understanding. So, he's to be an air conditioner. Everyone fell silent for a few seconds before bursting into laughter again. Teasing the kid was too much fun. After laughing, Li Pingping couldn't help but worry. Bro, you bought a house. Do you have enough money left? Do you need a loan? How much do you have to repay each month? I can work part-time and contribute around 1,000 if you need. Don't worry, I paid in full, Shen Wang boasted with his substantial wealth. You guys can stay anytime, rent-free. Li Pingping was surprised. The notorious miser was splurging. It seemed he really had made a fortune. Just keep the place clean, Shen Wang added. Wang Kai, caressing his computer, happily agreed. Thanks, brother Shen. You're mighty. Cleaning. Leave it to us. Li Pingping and Su Cheng exchanged glances, remaining silent. It was hard not to suspect that the stay was just an excuse, and the main motive was to save on cleaning costs. Speaking of money, Shen Wang pondered over his finances, considering the funds needed for his future cultivation. A sense of urgency welled up. Isn't there a job that's less demanding, doesn't interrupt my cultivation, and pays well? Hearing his mutterings, Li Pingping nodded earnestly. Of course, there is. Shen Wang's eyes lit up. Just lie in the wishing well at the nearby temple. You don't even have to move, and lots of people will throw money at you. Shen Wang. Li Pingping burst into laughter at the rare sight of Shen Wang being stumped. Shen Wang playfully flicked his forehead. If I'm going to be a turtle in a wishing well, I'm dragging you in as a little turtle. The little turtle laughed heartily. Su Cheng pondered for a moment before tentatively suggesting, Brother Shen, didn't you earn money by doing fortune-telling live streams last time? Why not continue with that? After hearing this, Shen Wang thought for a few seconds, then smacked his fist into his palm. You're right. Initially, the live stream was just a counterattack, but now it seemed like a viable way to make money. Without hesitation, Shen Wang opened his computer and started a live stream. As soon as he went live, people quickly noticed. The broadcaster you follow, Your Daddy's Here, is live now. Those who entered the stream to comfort him paused at the sight of the username, Your Daddy's Here. In the recording, Tang's mother's tone was arrogant, and her words were both vicious and hurtful. Anyone empathizing with Shen Wang's perspective would feel saddened. To the audience, Shen Wang appeared as a pitiful figure, unloved by his father, scorned by his mother, longing for familial affection, yet humiliated and insulted by his own mother. Those who had been following him for a while remembered that this was the man who, even when vilified by the entire internet, could start a live stream to confront netizens, silencing his critics with his powerful and assertive presence. Soon enough, oblivious new followers rushed in. Sob, go Shen Wang. Stay away from the Tang family for your safety. Forget biological parents, it's all an illusion. Shen Wang, don't be soft-hearted, don't go back. The handsome guy is so pitiful, indeed the wealthy families have too much drama, my heart aches for him. The Tang family are all trash, but he's the good sprout from a rotten bamboo. You donated 15 million in one go, from now on I'm your die-hard fan. As long as you don't break the law, I'll never turn against you. Hope the handsome guy can have a new start, a new life. Watching the colorful barrage of comments, Shen Wang raised an eyebrow. Along with comforting words, there were occasional gift effects. In just a few minutes, a long list of names had formed on his gift leaderboard. Thank you for your gifts. Shen Wang smiled very happily. Holy cow, does such a good-looking guy actually exist in real life? Whose heart is racing? It's mine, no worries. Sob, just thinking about how a guy this handsome could have such a tragic past, it feels so unfair. Maybe it's precisely because fate is fair that he has such a hard life. Watching as the topic gradually shifted from comfort to something else, Shen Wang touched his face, feeling quite emotional. I never thought I'd have a day where I'd rely on my looks. After saying this, he smiled again at the camera. The camera in the villa was much clearer than those in internet cafes. This high-definition beauty effect sent the chat into a frenzy. Though he said so, Shen Wang had no intention of actually relying on his looks for a living. Come on, let's do fortune-telling live, 2,000 per session, fair to all ages. Fortune-telling. Has this guy gone crazy? Promoting feudal superstitions in public. 2,000 per session. What is he doing, trying to squander all the goodwill he's accumulated? Thought he was a good guy, but it hasn't been long since he cleared his name, and now he's scheming to make money. Just like his Tang family roots. Better off relying on his looks. Shen Wang remained unfazed by the negative comments. Not everyone loves money, some prefer dollars, others gold. How can I, a mere mortal, expect universal adoration? Suddenly, a lavish gift effect took over the entire screen, clearing all the comments. Go, Brother Shen. The gift, with its simple 4-word message, clearly showed her support. It took a while for the grandiose gift effect to vanish before the audience could comment normally again. Holy cow, Feng Xiaomian. How do they know each other? Is Shen Wang really venturing into live streaming? Are they close? Feng Xiaomian is blatantly clearing the chat for Shen Wang. Feng Xiaomian is also streaming. She's streaming. Shen Wang's live. Goodness, what's their relationship? Feng Xiaomian is using her popularity to boost Shen Wang. Feng Xiaomian just broke up with Grey Wolf a few days ago, she couldn't have found a new partner so quickly, right? Various speculations emerged incessantly, but soon, with the influx of viewers from Feng Xiaomian's live stream, these comments were overshadowed. Coming from Xiaomian's side, cheering for Shen Wang. Here to support Xiaomian's friend. Shen Wang hadn't expected Feng Xiaomian to help him, especially with a gift worth 10,000. Such wealthy VIP clients should be well taken care of. Shen Wang pondered for a few seconds. In the future, when you have a boyfriend, bring him to me. I'll give you a fortune reading for free. Before others could react, Feng Xiaomian quickly sent a barrage of comments. Thank you, Brother Shen. The abundance of exclamation marks indicated her immense happiness and excitement. The netizens were baffled. What's happening here? Could it be that Shen Wang really knows fortune telling? At that moment, someone sent a gift worth 2,000, requesting a reading. Shen Wang, seeing this, immediately opened a connection. On the other side of the camera was a young man who seemed a bit nervous. Shen, Brother Shen. Shen Wang's gaze shifted, and he asked, are you looking for something? The young man's eyes lit up, quickly responding, yes, exactly, I'm looking for something. There's a family heirloom in my house, an emerald bracelet. It was passed from my grandmother to my mother, and it's supposed to go to my wife eventually. After I told my girlfriend about it, she wanted to see it. I sneaked it out to show her, but the next day it was gone. We had a huge fight over it, nearly breaking up. If this bracelet is lost, my mom, grandma, and dad would definitely be furious with me. Since losing the bracelet, the young man had been anxious for days, tossing and turning at night, unable to sleep, his hair falling out in clumps. While scrolling through his phone in his anxious state, he stumbled into Shen Wang's live stream and saw him doing fortune telling. He didn't believe in it initially, but now, desperate to find the bracelet, he thought to try his luck with this metaphysical approach. When Shen Wang immediately pinpointed his need to find something, the young man felt a surge of hope, his eyes fixed on Shen Wang. Brother Shen, you must save me. Please, I'm begging you. Hearing the young man's story, the audience turned into amateur detectives, speculating wildly. So filial, sneaking out a family heirloom to show his girlfriend. What if the girlfriend took it? Suspect the girlfriend stole it +1. The value of an emerald bracelet can vary greatly, from a few hundred to millions. If it's one of the expensive ones, he should call the police immediately. He dares not involve the police, that would alert his family. At this point, Shen Wang also spoke up, you should report it to the police. The young man. The audience. If fortune telling is just advising to call the police, I could do that too. Indeed, calling the police is the best option here. The young man's face was downcast. Brother Shen, I know I can report it to the police, but if I do, my family will find out. He dared not let his family know about this matter. Shen Wang slowly asked, do you know how much your bracelet is worth? The young man was startled. I don't know, maybe, tens of thousands. He hadn't researched jade, just assuming from the prices he remembered seeing in malls. Shen Wang shook his head. Then, a few thousand, the young man guessed hesitantly. Even without much knowledge of jade, he sensed his family heirloom was quite exquisite, not seeming like something worth only a few thousand. 100, Shen Wang stated a figure. The young man was taken aback. That cheap? Is it a marble heirloom or something? Really? Never seen it, how can he know the price? 1,000. Instantly, the young man's pupils contracted, and he inhaled sharply. Before, he just thought he would get beaten half to death for stealing the family heirloom. Now, he truly believed his life was in danger. At this point, he couldn't afford to worry about getting beaten or losing face. Trembling, he picked up his phone to call the police. The barrage of online comments started to pour in. Really? $1 million bracelet, what does that even look like? Jade of this price range is rare and sought after, especially if it's been passed down for at least 100 years. If it's real, it would definitely be even more expensive. If my kid ever dared to steal. Please don't call him your son, refer to him as the defendant. Just as he was dialing the emergency number, a voice from outside the door said, Old Jew, didn't you lose a bracelet? Is this your bracelet? The guy was stunned. Go check it out, Shen Wang gestured to the guy. The guy woodenly opened the door, and outside, his flatmate was holding a small box with a surprised look. Look, is this it? We've been searching for so long and couldn't find it, but when I was sweeping today, I found it under the sofa. I don't know how it got there. The guy opened it and sure enough, it was his bracelet. He was both shocked and overjoyed, finding it effortlessly after an exhaustive search. He couldn't find it no matter how hard he searched these past few days, but it appeared out of nowhere when he stopped looking. So happy he almost lifted his flatmate in a hug and spun him around. After expressing his gratitude, he hopped back to his computer. Shen Go. I found my bracelet. I found it. My life is saved. Carefully taking out the bracelet and wiping it over and over, the guy was almost in tears. You better return this bracelet soon. With your intelligence, it's hard to keep it safe. Knowing it's worth $1 million and about to call the police, and then your friend finds it. Don't you think something's off? Haven't seen someone this innocent in a long time, screenshot for keepsake. Innocent, foolishly, pure, stupid, ... Even the silliest person would realize something was amiss after such a hint. He carefully placed the crystal clear jade bracelet back into the small bag, and then into the box. Shen Go. This bracelet has been worn for so long, it's well nourished, free of impurities, lustrous and translucent. It has even gained a spiritual essence. Treasure it well, said Shen Wang. Just a glance earlier revealed its refreshing green hue, making its $1 million price tag seem an underestimate. Most importantly, after being nurtured through generations, the bracelet has acquired a spiritual essence, able to protect its owner from misfortune and ensure safety, almost like a semi-magical artifact. The guy nodded in agreement, then hesitantly added, my roommate. You already have your suspicions, don't you? Shen Wang smiled. The guy's expression was complex as he sincerely thanked Shen Wang, disconnected the call, and then sent several gifts in a row. So, did Shen Wang know from the beginning that his roommate took the bracelet? Why didn't he say it outright? Saying it directly without evidence would be pointless. What if the other party adamantly denied it? This strategy forced them to produce the bracelet and recover the item, not bad. Did no one notice that bracelet? It's so beautiful, looks like glass but even prettier. Shen Gu is awesome. Why on earth did the Tang family choose that scumbag who plays multiple sides over this treasure? What were they thinking? Maybe they developed feelings, or maybe it's a case of like attracting like. After showing off his skills a bit, several people gathered to send gifts, hoping for a fortune reading. The netizens went from disbelief at first to admiringly calling him a master. The barrage of comments was full of praises, occasionally mixed with curses directed at the Tang family. Watching Shen Wang bask in admiration, Tang Jiu clenched his fists tightly, grinding his teeth. He had gone to great lengths to trample Shen Wang down, making him despised and cursed by everyone. Yet, in such a short time, their roles had completely reversed. Shen Wang became universally praised, while he, Tang Jiu, was trampled into the mud, spat upon by every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Damn it. Useless. A cup barely missed Tang Jiu's face and smashed against the wall, the boiling water inside splashing on his cheek, scalding it red. At the bedside, Tang's mother's right cheek was swollen and red, marked with a clear handprint. She bit her lip, tears streaming down. Tang's mother, still strikingly beautiful and well-maintained even nearing 50, had a mature charm. In the past, her restrained tears would have softened Tang's father's heart, leading him to hold and comfort her. Now, Tang's father lay on the hospital bed in patient's garb, his face dark with anger. How dare you cry? Look what you've done to the Tang family. I didn't know he would record it. Tang's mother said through tears, trying to explain, but was cut off by Tang's father's angry curses. Who told you to go to him? Who told you to say those things? Creating such a mess in C-City, where does that leave our family's face? Tang's father grew angrier as he thought about it, grabbing something and smashing it on the floor. The company is even affected because of a woman like you. Do you know how much our stock price fell? Listening to Tang's father berating Tang's mother, Tang Jiu held his phone, his eyes darkening. Shen Wang had sent out the recording and started live streaming, stepping on the Tang family. Tang Jiu couldn't help but hate him. He hated how his carefully planned scheme was so easily thwarted. Now, Shen Wang had become a celebrity with many fans. If he disappeared, someone would surely notice. The worst part was that everyone knew about the discord between Shen Wang and the Tang family. If anything happened to Shen Wang, the first suspects would be the Tang family, him, Tang Jiu. His plan to take Shen Wang's blood had completely fallen through. Without the bloodline of the Tang family, he couldn't inherit the family legacy. What would he do now? Ever since the idea of a blood transfusion struck him, Tang Jiu had been obsessively fixated on inheriting the Tang family's bloodline. He always felt that once he obtained the bloodline inheritance, he would become stronger and his path ahead smoother, but now everything was ruined. And the reason for all this was just because Tang's mother made a phone call to Shen Wang. Containing his resentment, Tang Jiu stepped forward, placating perfunctorily, Dad, Mom didn't do it on purpose. As Tang Jiu spoke, Tang's father, who had calmed down a bit, became furious again, that idiot. A fool with long hair but short on wisdom. Creating such a big mess, and still daring to say it wasn't on purpose. If she did it intentionally, she'd ruin our Tang family completely. Tang's mother was overwhelmed by the scolding, feeling very wronged. She knew she had made a mistake and could only quietly argue, you all also cursed him, how was I to know he would record it, and only record my voice? Tang's mother didn't feel she did anything wrong. Everyone in the Tang family had cursed Shen Wang at some point. It was just her bad luck to be recorded. And you? Tang's father didn't hear Tang's mother's quiet muttering. Turning his anger towards Tang Jiu, he said, if you hadn't come up with that plan to ruin his reputation, he wouldn't have had the chance to strike back. The old Shen Wang was just a nobody, a small-time hoodlum unnoticed and uncared for, whose death would have gone unremarked. Yet, it was Tang Jiu who came up with that foolish plan, thrusting him into the public eye. Being cursed by everyone also meant he was known by everyone. At this point, how could he possibly disappear without a trace? You mother and son are equally foolish. Tang's father continued his tirade, but Tang Jiu, unlike his mother, wouldn't just stand there and take it. He immediately retorted, I consulted you about this matter. It was only after you agreed that I acted. You're passing the blame. You think this is my fault? Tang's father slammed his hand on the bed, furious. You're not even of Tang blood. We've exhausted all our resources to raise you, and not only are you ungrateful, you blame others when things go wrong. Tang Jiu, I really regret now, choosing you over Shen Wang. In this confrontation between Tang Jiu and Shen Wang, Tang Jiu had been utterly defeated. Tang's father suddenly felt reflective. If Shen Wang had the ability to cultivate, with his temperament and capabilities, maybe he would have been more suited for the Tang family, capable of taking it to greater heights. Or even if he lacked such talents, just being raised as a normal person and working in the company could have brought in considerable profits. Why hadn't he left any room for reconciliation, ending up in this irreconcilable situation with his own son? Tang's father sighed deeply. Tang Jiu's face was twisted in displeasure, but still reliant on the Tang family's resources and not yet strong enough on his own, he had to change the subject. I'll go out and get you a glass of water. As he stepped out of the hospital room, the sound of Tang's father's scolding and Tang's mother's sobbing continued behind him. Tang Jiu closed his eyes for a moment. Is that Tang Jiu? The fake young master of the Tang family. Shoo, keep it down. Don't let anyone hear you. Yes, that's him. With such a wealthy family, yet they forced Shen Wang to leave home, even manipulating his biological parents. They're really cunning and manipulative. Inheritance battles in rich families are more thrilling than any TV drama. He's not even that good looking, not as much as Shen Wang. How does he have so many girlfriends, and even his parents are charmed by him? Who knows? Maybe he's sweet talking. When I went to their ward to change the dressings, the atmosphere was so tense. His mother even got hit, truly a rotten family. Shen Wang leaving the Tang family was the best decision he ever made. As Tang Jiu heard the nurse's gossip, he suddenly opened his eyes, glaring fiercely at the nurse, startling them into scattering quickly. That was scary, he looked like he was about to devour me. He didn't hear us talking, did he? Probably not, we were quite far away. Standing in the quiet corridor for a few seconds, Tang Jiu's gaze flickered uncertainly. Now, he not only wanted Shen Wang's blood, he wanted Shen Wang dead. Following the normal path was no longer an option. Tang Jiu walked into the emergency staircase and made a phone call. Hello. Qian Liangjuan, Tang Jiu called out, then asked, how are you doing now? On the other end of the line, Qian Liangjuan snorted, how else? recovering from injuries. He had taken his junior to Lu Xingyi's house to exorcise a spirit, not expecting that the vengeful spirit was showing signs of evolving into a fierce ghost, nearly killing both him and his junior. It was Shen Wang who arrogantly came by, blatantly colluding with the vengeful spirit, buying some time. He managed to contact his sect, but Shen Wang had escaped beforehand. He hadn't taken this task through the metaphysical society, but privately, which was already against the rules, and he had brought his junior along, causing him to be seriously injured, compounding his offenses. If it weren't for the severe injuries he had also sustained, he would have probably been severely punished. Even so, Qian Liangjuan was fined a large sum and placed under house arrest for introspection. Did you say Shen Wang was colluding with an evil spirit? Tang Jiu asked. At the mention of this, Qian Liangjuan became agitated. Yes, I'm certain. He must have been in cahoots with that evil spirit. If he hadn't run off with it prematurely, we would have caught them red-handed when my master arrived. What did your sect say? They said they would conduct a thorough investigation. Tang Jiu smiled slowly. You witnessed it yourself, you're the clearest witness. What's there to investigate? Why don't you redeem yourself by contributing to their capture? The Tang family was also a member of the metaphysical society, but Tang Jiu dared not let his family know about this. So, he had to use others to do his bidding. As Tang Jiu plotted to use others for his scheme, a hand with distinct knuckles turned off the phone. The owner of the hand smiled brilliantly, his eyes ice cold. The real and fake young master, interesting. Someone knocked on the door, brother. A head with long, silky hair almost touching the floor peeked in, her smile bright and face innocent. It's my little sister, he said meaningfully, smiling. What brings you here? Why are you wearing black, brother? Don't you always prefer white clothes? His little sister entered, curiously asking. If Shen Wang were here, he would recognize that the man in the black robe was Gu Dongting. What's so good about white? Gu Dongting propped his head with one hand, squinting at his little sister, his tone nonchalant. Black is better. It can hide all the filth. His half-closed eyes were filled with murderous intent. His little sister felt a chill, pausing mid-step. Is it? Black does seem more resistant to dirt. The two looked at each other across a desk, each smiling more brilliantly than the other, but the little sister suddenly felt a pang of unease. Was her upright and aloof brother always this fond of smiling? Chapter 30. The Gu family was the foremost noble family in the metaphysical world, developed and expanded single-handedly by the elder Gu. Elder Gu had 3 children. The eldest, Gu Shanhe, was the current head of the family, responsible for managing metaphysical affairs. He was stern and serious, rarely spoke more than necessary, and held in high esteem. The second child, Gu Shanchuan, also Gu Dongting's father, had no interest in metaphysics. His passion lay in making money, successfully running his company and ranking high on the wealth charts, a renowned and wealthy CEO. And the youngest, Gu Shanxue. Unlike his brothers who excelled in their respective fields, Gu Shanxue was keen on metaphysics but sadly lacked any talent for cultivation. He then turned to business, only to face significant losses. Compared to his brothers, Gu Shanxue's mediocrity was striking, but fortunately, the elder members of the Gu family had no high expectations of him. They were content as long as he was happy. Each of the 3 Gu brothers had a child, and the little sister was the child of Gu Shanxue, named Gu Manling. Gu Manling was the only girl in the Gu family, doted on by everyone. Even the strictest and most rigid elder Gu Shanhe softened his stringent demands for the younger generation, showing her tenderness and care. Gu Manling did not disappoint her family's affections. She was beautiful, sweet-talking, and charming. Not only did she possess high cultivation talent, but she also never slacked off in her private training. No one would have imagined that such a sweet and obedient Gu Manling would conspire with outsiders, leading to the downfall and ruin of the Gu family. Gu Dongting scrutinized Gu Manling's face, his tone indifferent. Your face is indeed beautiful. Every member of the Gu family was strikingly attractive, and the youngest generation combined all the aesthetic virtues of their parents, exceptionally beautiful and ethereal. No wonder Tang Jiu, who had a penchant for beauty, couldn't forget her. Even after learning she was from the Gu family, he remained entangled, unable to let go. Gu Manling was utterly bewildered, not understanding why Gu Dongting suddenly mentioned her face. She felt uneasy and instinctively wanted to leave. Big brother, if you're busy, I won't disturb you. Saying this, she turned to leave. Gu Dongting watched her flustered retreat, a hint of red flashing in his eyes. By this time, several decades had passed since the ruin and downfall of the Gu family. Surrounded by the familiar, Gu Dongting wandered through the room like a ghost, his fingertips brushing over the desk he had used from childhood to youth. His expression was calm, but a murderous rage was burgeoning within him. In 2 years, the entire Gu family would be destroyed, all the familiar old belongings perishing in a great fire. Apart from Gu Shanshui's family, no one in the Gu family survived. The kind and gentle grandparents, the stubborn but soft-hearted uncle and aunt, and his loving and harmonious parents, the mischievous younger brother of his uncle's family. Gu Dongting's eyes were thick with bloodlust. It had taken him decades to find a way to perish together with Tang Jiu. When he opened his eyes again, he was back in the past. A past where everything had not yet happened, and his family was still alive. Gu Dongting didn't even pause to see his family. His first act was to go to Sea City to kill that so-called child of destiny. He had to eliminate the threat while he was still weak, to nip it in the bud. But when he arrived in Sea City and was about to act, he was severely injured by an unknown master, narrowly escaping discovery multiple times. Child of destiny, Gu Dongting's heart was seething with rage. Because he was the child of destiny, even though he was far stronger than the current Tang Jiu, he could only return in defeat. Protected by the heavenly Tao, various accidents would always occur, shielding the child of destiny from harm. Exhaling a heavy breath and concealing all his murderous intent, Gu Dongting brushed off his sleeves and walked towards the Gu family's main hall. The Gu family, though large, placed great emphasis on family bonds, gathering together regularly to strengthen their ties. The moment Gu Dongting appeared, all eyes turned to him, and the elder Gu waved at him. Dongting has arrived, we were just waiting for you. Gu Manling's eyes flickered, avoiding Gu Dongting's gaze. Uncle, aunt, dad, mom, grandpa, grandma. Gu Dongting thought himself hardened by decades of hatred, believing nothing could sway his resolve. Yet, seeing his family now stirred a whirlwind of emotions within him, leaving him choked up and his eyes moist. Big brother. The son of Elder Gu Shanha squinted at Gu Dongting, greeting him in a low voice, "Why suddenly wear black clothes?" Gu Dongting sat beside him, lips slightly moving as before, felt like wearing it. "So cool." The young cousin gave a thumbs up. Gu Dongting glanced at him, and the young cousin immediately straightened up, sitting like an obedient child. The young cousin was the youngest child in the Gu family, having recently finished his college entrance exams, at the peak age of mischief and rebelliousness. Besides his own father, Elder Gu Shanha, he idolized Gu Dongting the most. When the young cousin's body was returned to the Gu family, it was disfigured beyond recognition due to the malevolent ghost's influence, leaving his body mutilated, causing Elder Gu Shanha's hair to turn white overnight and his aunt to be consumed by grief and confusion. Now, that swollen, bruised face still retained its lively and clever expression. The younger cousin, trying to maintain a serious demeanor, was suddenly tousled on the head by Gu Dongting, leaving him looking bewilderedly at Gu Dongting. "Big brother. Practice more diligently in the future," Gu Dongting said lightly. The younger cousin's face instantly changed, disbelief in his eyes. "Right, you should learn from your big brother," Gu Shanha, who had long disapproved of his son's lazy nature, immediately chimed in. Seeing the conversation shifting towards him, the younger cousin quickly changed the subject. "Big brother, what have you been up to lately? Are you getting into business? You're not planning to follow in our second uncle's footsteps, are you?" This topic was somewhat known among the Gu family members. Gu Shanha's father frowned slightly. "Diligent cultivation is the right path. Business matters, your father can handle that alone." Gu's father. He wanted to say that a son inheriting from his father was natural, and the elder brother should have his own son to continue the Gu family legacy. But he didn't dare. "I heard you were vying for a contract with a company in Sea City recently. What's the matter, did that company offend you?" Gu's father turned his face away, asking casually. Gu Dongting paused. "Would I misuse my position for personal gains?" Gu's father was only joking and hadn't seriously considered this. He knew his son well, who was just like Gu Shanha in character. Stern and upright, inflexibly principled, and never one to resort to such tactics. The casually mentioned matter was quickly glossed over. Gu Dongting lowered his head, a surge of malevolence in his eyes. The young Gu Dongting was naive and old-fashioned, but he was not. Taking advantage of the Tang family's tarnished reputation, he schemed to seize many of their partnerships and even had people muddy the waters and defame them. When achieving his goals, did the means really matter? Having a second chance at life, Gu Dongting had sworn in secret that he would do everything in his power to protect his family. To kill that so-called child of destiny and seize his fate. He would make Tang Jiu pay in blood for his debts. "Shen Gu, you're going to my hometown." In Shen Wang's villa, Su Cheng's loud exclamation broke the calm, as a group of young men each held half a watermelon, sitting in front of the TV. Hearing that Shen Wang was going to Su Cheng's hometown, the others raised their hands eagerly. "I want to go too." "Go where?" Shen Wang lazily scooped a big piece of watermelon into his mouth. "His problem is a bit tricky. Taking you guys, how many lives do you think you have to spare?" Hearing Shen Wang speak like this, Su Cheng felt a pang of alarm and unease. Previously, Shen Wang had predicted that Su Cheng was destined to face a fatal calamity, which could end in death if not overcome. This had terrified Su Cheng for days, unable to sleep properly. Later, with the continuous troubles Shen Wang encountered, Su Cheng almost forgot about it. Today, when Shen Wang brought it up again, Su Cheng suddenly remembered the ticking bomb over his head. Is it that difficult? Su Cheng anxiously hugged the watermelon, oblivious to the juice spilling on his clothes. In their eyes, Shen Wang was already an incredibly powerful figure. If even he said it was troublesome. Then what do we do? Can you handle it? Li Pingping was full of concern. Torn between his dorm mate he had slept with for years and his elder brother who was like a father to him, Li Pingping's brow furrowed deeply. "With me around, what's there to fear?" Shen Wang, completely oblivious to Li Pingping's dilemma, said directly, "We'll take a trip during the vacation. As for you guys, stay here and keep an eye on the house. Clean the villa thoroughly. Especially those dusty corners, make sure to clean them well. Oh, and the plot of land in the backyard, turn it over for me, and maybe plant some vegetables. That way, we won't need to buy them from outside." Listening to Shen Wang, Li Pingping was exasperated, feeling his worries were completely unnecessary. Perhaps it wasn't Su Cheng's issue that was troublesome, but rather Shen Wang just wanted someone to clean his villa and tend to his garden. "Shen Gu, you bought a villa just like that. Are you really worried about the few bucks for vegetables?" Wang Kai asked naively. Shen Wang glared at him. "Every little bit adds up. Haven't you heard, many a little makes a mickle? What seems like a few dollars in vegetable expenses, accumulated over decades, amounts to hundreds of thousands or even millions. We can't ignore such savings." Wang Kai felt something was off, but he couldn't quite pinpoint it. Shen Wang looked around, his gaze finally settling on the little ghost hanging on the wall. "Xiao Kong, do you want to go out and play with your brother?" The little ghost, forcibly named Air Conditioner, really wanted to pretend he didn't hear that, but... "You'd let me go out to play?" The ghost's surrounding aura of energy fluctuated, his expression a mix of skepticism, hope, and disbelief. Shen Wang spoke earnestly. "Now that you've become my ghost, you shouldn't stay cooped up indoors all day like before, limited in your experiences. When you go out, tell others you're the little ghost of my Shen family. If you make a fool of yourself, that's your business, but don't tarnish my reputation." The little ghost puffed up his cheeks. He was annoyed, but for the chance to go out, he would endure it. Since he had memories, the little ghost had never left the house. Now, knowing he could go out, the air around him warmed significantly. Wang Kai envied the little ghost's temperature control ability, longing for it immensely. As summer approached and the weather grew hotter, the school dormitory felt like a steaming sauna, stuffy and hot. Stepping outside meant facing the scorching sun, where even playing basketball could result in a sunburn. If he could have such a ghost, he would also like to carry it around with him. Envious, desiring, but without. Only Shen Wang had the ability to have a little ghost as a portable air conditioner. Shen Wang squinted his eyes and ate another piece of watermelon, thoroughly enjoying himself. Shen Wang, always one to act decisively, decided to help Su Cheng overcome his life-threatening crisis. He drew numerous talismans overnight, stuffing them into his pockets. Being very cautious, he didn't want to risk any unforeseen problems. After Su Cheng had requested leave, the two of them and the little ghost set off immediately, frugally purchasing train tickets. After getting off the train, Shen Wang took a deep breath, feeling revitalized. Beside him, Su Cheng, carrying a load of bags, was gasping for breath, pale-faced. We shouldn't have rushed so much. As the holiday approached, there were surprisingly many migrant workers returning home from Sea City, and the two couldn't get a seat. Both being frugal, they discovered neither wanted to spend extra on a sleeper berth. So, they bought the cheapest standing tickets. The journey was crowded and smelly, leaving them both feeling like lifeless, soulless salted fish. Shen Wang's condition wasn't much better than Su Cheng's. In theory, as a semi-cultivator, he shouldn't be as weak as Su Cheng. However, with the miniaturized little ghost sitting on his shoulder, the temperature around him was cooler, making the scorching summer quite comfortable. People unconsciously squeezed closer to him. That was tolerable, but Shen Wang's appearance stood out amidst the chaotic train, drawing looks from men and women, young and old, with the more talkative ones always striking up a conversation with him. On this journey, Shen Wang discussed national affairs with over a dozen men, was proposed to by 7 or 8 ants for matchmaking, and even held 4 or 5 children who insisted on cuddling up to him. He was utterly exhausted. The two weary travelers exchanged a look, noting each other's disheveled clothes and the black footprints on their shoes, and burst into laughter together. Su Cheng wiped the sweat from his forehead. We're not far from my home now. Just need to take a bus to the county town, then a public bus to the township, and finally a motorcycle taxi to reach my house. Shen Wang was at a loss for words. That's really, really close, isn't it? After a few seconds of silence, Su Cheng couldn't help but laugh. After laughing, under Shen Wang's accusing gaze, he explained, compared to the distance from Sea City to here, my home is indeed not far. It's just that we need to change several modes of transportation. The little ghost's eyes were wide open with curiosity, finding everything around him new and exciting. Somehow, Shen Wang had not only freed him from the house that confined him but also shrunk him to the size of a palm, perfectly fitting on Shen Wang's shoulder. Then let's hurry up. The little ghost clutched a strand of Shen Wang's hair to steady himself, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Xiao Kong. Shen Wang suddenly frowned. Startled, the little ghost instinctively gripped the hair even tighter. Don't pull on my Andy. Shen Wang scolded. And also my Xiao Hong, Dehei, and Lilith. If they fall out, I'll have your life. The little ghost immediately let go of the hair, looking at Shen Wang as if he were crazy. You actually name your hair strands. Unbeknownst to Shen Wang, shortly after he left, Qian Liangjuan, along with members of the Metaphysical Society, had gone to find him. Frustrated at missing him, Qian Liangjuan snapped, did you guys leak information, allowing him to escape? Another retorted, we don't even know him. How could we leak information? Of all the people here, only you know him. What do you mean by that? Qian Liangjuan glared fiercely. If it weren't for me reporting, who among you would have known he's a dark cultivator? Who knows, maybe you're falsely reporting. Enough. Stop arguing, the leader barked, silencing the quarreling duo. He just bought a house, his lair is here. He can't run away. We'll deal with him when he returns. The rest fell silent. Qian Liangjuan and the leader exchanged a glance, greed flickering in their eyes. Shen Wang had an inexplicable abundance of talismans. Once they caught him, all the talismans would be secretly stashed away by them. They planned to split them with the leader. Qian Liangjuan licked his lips. Whether he was a dark cultivator or not didn't matter, wealth was the most alluring. Having set off from Sea City early in the morning, they finally reached Su Cheng's home near evening. Su Cheng's parents had been eagerly waiting at the door. Seeing a motorcycle chugging along, they knew their child had arrived. Shen Wang dismounted the motorcycle expressionlessly, his long legs swinging over with a cool gesture, but his appearance was too disheveled to impress. Su Cheng, seeing his parents, lit up with joy, his eyes sparkling. Dad, Mom, I'm back. Su Cheng's parents were true rural folks, their skin tanned and faces lined with rough wrinkles. Their clothes weren't fancy but were immaculately clean and tidy. Cheng, you're back. Su's mother beamed, grabbing Su Cheng with one hand and Shen Wang with the other. This must be your classmate, right? So handsome and clean, looks like a great student. Su's father silently paid the motorcycle taxi fare and picked up Su Cheng's bags, following behind them. Shen Wang felt Su's mother's rough, calloused hand holding his. If one had softer hands, it might have felt almost like being cut by a knife. Hello, Auntie. Shen Wang was completely at ease, smiling and chatting with Su's mother. I never expected Su Cheng's mom to be so energetic and friendly. No wonder she raised such an outstanding university student. With a few words, he charmed Su's mother into releasing Su Cheng's hand, focusing solely on Shen Wang. Oh, you flatter me. I'm not well educated. It's Cheng who is smart and works hard in his studies. Su Cheng quietly stepped back and took some of the load from Su's father. Father and son exchanged a glance. You're back. Yeah. That's good. Hearing the noise, a white-haired elderly neighbor came out, calling out loudly, is the Su family's child back? Grandma Lin, Su's mother responded just as loudly, yes, my youngest son is back. Why don't you join us for a meal? Oh no, I wouldn't want to impose. You've already been taking good care of me. Come on, Grandma Lin, it's hard for an elderly person and a pregnant woman to cook. We made plenty of food today, and we can't finish it all by ourselves. After some back and forth, Grandma Lin finally agreed. Knowing her son was coming home, Su's mother had prepared the meal in advance, waiting only to start eating. After a quick wash of hands, Shen Wang sat at the large, round dining table. He was seated between Grandma Lin's daughter-in-law and Su Cheng. Although there were only 6 people, the table was laden with a wide variety of dishes, quite bountiful. As Su's mother served rice to Shen Wang, she spoke to Grandma Lin, there are so many dishes, and in this hot summer, we can't finish them all, can we? Shen Wang watched as Su's mother pressed the rice down firmly, creating a towering heap in his bowl. Su Cheng, used to this, whispered to Shen Wang, if you can't finish, don't force yourself. We can feed the leftovers to the pigs. I can finish it. Shen Wang declared, almost like preparing for battle as he took the bowl. To Shen Wang's other side sat Grandma Lin's pregnant daughter-in-law, a young woman in her 20s, her belly large and her smile shy. Xiaoli is about to give birth, right? Sue's mother casually asked. A smile touched Grandma Lin's weathered face. Yes, very soon, just a matter of 2 months. The pregnant woman, referred to as Shaoli, also smiled but remained silent, gently touching her belly with her left hand. However, Shen Wang noticed that besides the joy of expecting a new life, there was also a faint trace of melancholy on the pregnant woman's face. Grandma Lin continued, look at her belly, so pointy, surely it's a boy. I've been taking great care of her these past few months, not letting her do any hard work, keeping my little chubby boy well fed and healthy. Shen Wang's brow furrowed slightly, but he said nothing. He just sighed inwardly. The little ghost curiously floated near the pregnant woman's belly, circled around a few times, then returned to Shen Wang's shoulder. This old lady is wrong, she's not carrying a boy, but a little sister. Shen Wang remained still, but Su Cheng's chopsticks dropped to the floor. Unaware of the turmoil in his heart, the pregnant woman passed a clean pair of chopsticks to Su Cheng. Su Cheng's eyes were complex as he took the chopsticks. Having grown up here, Su Cheng knew better than anyone how much Grandma Lin favored boys over girls. If Sister Li gave birth to a girl, her future might be difficult. Shen Wang glanced at him, then grabbed the little ghost, stuffed him back into his pocket, and tapped the little ghost's head in warning. The little ghost fidgeted in the pocket, whining, I don't want to be here, it's so dark. I want to get out. Shen Wang remained unmoved, firmly holding the pocket closed with his left hand. After struggling for a while and realizing Shen Wang was resolute, the little ghost mumbled a few words and then stopped moving. After dinner, Su's mother refused Shen Wang and Su Cheng's offer to help clean up, urging them to rest instead. You both had a long day, go and rest now. Shen Wang graciously complied, no longer insisting. Su Cheng brought out gifts he had brought from Sea City for his mother, including clothes, a massager, and a summer silk quilt. Seeing these, Su's mother dabbed at the corners of her eyes, my child has grown up, knowing how to care for others now. Shen Wang didn't intrude on their family time, lying on the bed and gazing at the pristine white ceiling. The village was sparsely populated, with most of the able-bodied adults working away from home, leaving mostly the elderly and children. In the evening, wisps of cooking smoke rose. It was a scene of peaceful serenity, reminiscent of picking chrysanthemums beneath the eastern fence. Everything was normal. However, Shen Wang could clearly see the faint, almost invisible shade of yin energy between Su Cheng's brows, which had thickened considerably since returning home, dark and heavy over his forehead. The mingling of yin and death energy was a clear sign of an imminent demise. The lack of red in the ominous aura indicated it wasn't a death due to external injuries, and Su Cheng was in good health, so it wasn't due to sudden illness. What could cause a healthy young man to suddenly die? What hidden secrets did this seemingly peaceful and tranquil village hold? As Shen Wang pondered, a commotion suddenly erupted outside. He leapt out of bed and rushed out to see the pregnant woman surnamedly half collapsed on the ground, her forehead beaded with cold sweat. Su's mother was frantic. How can she be giving birth so soon? It's not even her due date yet. Shaoli, don't panic, I'll have old Su ride the tricycle to the town hospital right away. Before the pregnant woman could respond, Grandma Lin grasped Su's father, stopping him from going. No hospital. What hospital? Your daughter-in-law is about to give birth, and you refuse to go to the hospital. Do you not want your great-grandchild? Su's mother was stunned, her face a picture of disbelief. Usually, Grandma Lin did favor boys over girls, but she had always been quite good to her daughter-in-law. Although she often said things like, when we had children, we weren't so delicate, or, we worked in the fields while pregnant, she never really made life difficult for her daughter-in-law. She always ensured her daughter-in-law had plenty of chicken and carp soup. So why had she changed her attitude at such a critical moment? Not just Su's mother, but everyone present couldn't understand. Su Cheng loudly questioned, Grandma Lin, childbirth is like walking through the gates of hell. If you don't take her to the hospital, isn't that akin to murder? Don't spout nonsense, young man. Grandma Lin glared fiercely at Su Cheng. Her once kind and gentle face had somehow become harsh and fierce. In our time, when we were pregnant and giving birth, there were no hospitals. We all gave birth at home. Why go to a hospital? I've given birth to several children, who knows better than me how to do it? Move her to my house, I've already prepared everything. Prepared? Prepared what? Thinking of what the older generation had to endure during childbirth, Su's mother spoke sharply, Grandma Lin, have you lost your mind? This isn't your time anymore, you. Su's mother was so angry she was at a loss for words. This is our family's business, it's none of your concern, Grandma Lin stated firmly. Just help me move her back to my house, I'll call the Yin Yang master. Yin Yang? Why would you call a Yin Yang master when your granddaughter-in-law is giving birth? The Yin Yang master, a folk feng shui practitioner, was known for predicting fortunes and destinies in the village and surrounding areas, holding significant prestige. But what use was a Yin Yang master in such a situation, as he wasn't a doctor? Su Cheng was both angry and anxious. Grandma Lin was smug, lifting her chin as she spoke. The Yin Yang master promised me that when my great-grandson is born, he'll select an auspicious time. My great-grandson will be destined for wealth and prosperity. She even told her suffering daughter-in-law, just bear with it a little longer until the Yin Yang master confirms the right time, then give birth all at once. Damn it, has she gone mad? Su Cheng couldn't believe what he was hearing. This is childbirth, how can you ask her to endure? Although Su Cheng usually didn't like this old lady, he had never shown it. This was the first time he couldn't restrain himself, breaking the tradition of respecting the elderly with a curse. Why can't she endure? It's all for the child's good. What's wrong with a mother enduring a bit? Hearing Su Cheng swear a word, Grandma Lin got angry too, raising her voice, this is about my great-grandson's entire life. Can you compensate if the birth time is wrong and he misses out on wealth and prosperity? Listening to Grandma Lin's unreasonable words and seeing her cling to Su's father, refusing to let him ride the bike, Shen Wang took a deep breath. Grandma Lin, send her to the hospital. You can pick whatever time you want for a C-section and choose any birth time, Shen Wang said. Grandma Lin glared, what good is a birth time from a C-section? Naturally born children are better than those artificially delivered. Childbearing is a woman's nature. A child not born naturally goes against nature and morals, affecting the child later on. And some people even get pain relief injections. How can you do that? Pain relief during childbirth will surely harm the child. Modern women can't endure any hardship, unlike in our times. Grandma Lin's rant was abruptly cut short as Shen Wang grabbed her hands, pulling them away from Sue's father. Uncle, hurry and take her to the hospital. Sue's father was taken aback, then quickly nodded. Okay, I'll go right away. If anyone has a car, try borrowing it, Shen Wang added. Sue's father, suddenly realizing, quickly nodded. Okay, I'll go ask that family. Grandma Lin was startled and struggled fiercely, but couldn't break free from Shen Wang's grasp. She cursed incoherently, you little bastard, let me go. Our family's matters are none of your business, release me. After a long tirade, Shen Wang remained unaffected. As the car pulled in, Grandma Lin panicked, if anyone dares to move, and my great-grandson's fate is ruined, I'll spread manure on your families. The pregnant woman was carefully lifted into the car, and Grandma Lin gasped, collapsing to the ground. Shen Wang sneered, shielding the scene from others. This hooligan old lady trying to feign fainting in front of me, a master of the elixir arts. Like a thief stealing right under the nose of a policeman, quite the coincidence.